on Cleveland Heights. An Odyssey Sports Station.
92.3 The Fan, 2020 Sports.
Now, the Cavaliers needed somebody to step it up in Game 7 against Toronto at Rocket Arena last night. That someone, Jared Allen.
Allen missed, Allen board, Allen's corner. After three, it's 87-68. You can't let the hot man get his own miss.
That curse the NBA on NBC. Good guys take it. 114-102. Allen, 22 points, 19 rebounds. And the Cavs take the series 4-3. In the third quarter alone, Allen, 14 points, 10 boards. 5 of those on the offensive end. Donovan Mitchell also with 22 points. Cavs, 6 players in double figures. They advance to face the Pistons in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Game 1 tomorrow night in Detroit. On Sunday, the Pistons advancing by beating Orlando 116-94. Cade Cunningham, double-double, 32 points, 12 assists. Pistons rallied from 3-1 down to take the series in 7. Tobias Harris added 30 points. Detroit wins its first playoff series in 18 years. Guardians on Sunday lose to the Athletics 7-1. Parker Messick giving up 4 runs, 6 hits, including 3 homers in 5 innings. Guardians failed to get the 3-game sweep. In the loss, Chase DeLauder had a pair of hits, including a solo home run in the series against the A's. DeLauder was 8 of 11 at the plate. Travis Bazzana, a pair of singles for Cleveland. CBS Sports reporting that the Browns are going to be hiring former Jacksonville general manager Trent Baalke to serve as a consultant-like capacity. Baalke was out of football last year after being fired by the Jaguars. Baalke, Jacksonville's GM for 4 seasons, and the Jags going just 25-43. On the ice, Monsters win in Syracuse, beat the Crunch in triple overtime 2-1. Zach Aston Reese game-winning goal in the third OT. The Monsters take the series 3-1. The Monsters now will play either Laval or Toronto in the next round. Game 1 Thursday night at Rocket Arena. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, half of the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
The Afternoon Drive.
What I've been hearing is that he emerged from that voluntary minicamp ahead of Shedeur Sanders. And at this point right now, he has the inside track to win the starting job.
It's disappointing to me that all we had was a week of practices and already now the narrative is flipped. It is very disappointing to me that Shedeur felt like he never had a real shot in this. I don't love that it happened this quickly. At least humor me and make it seem like a quarterback competition instead of what this is being delivered as, which is Deshaun after 3 days all of a sudden won the job. It's not the $46 million. It's the idea that they want one crack before they go for quarterback in 2027 to maybe rewrite history a little bit more in their favor.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Tonight we're gonna take no prisoners.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Shed down, strews the pitch. Tyson at 49. Allen over Murray Boyles. Good, decisive, quick move there by Allen. But they got bigger problems. Allen.
Max Struz's defense has been suffocating here in this second half.
Allen missed, Allen board, Allen's corner. The Cleveland Cavaliers advance for round 2. They win Game 7 at home, and they are bound for America's Motor City to see the Pistons.
He doesn't really talk, too much, but he was talking today, you know what I mean? He was like, he had like a mean side of him today, which is what we need out of Jay. Like when he plays like that, we're a different ball club.
Man, really took us over the top, right? That third quarter performance, best I've seen him. Coached him a long time.
I'll let you guys decide that. I feel like it was a great quarter. Just one of those things where I was just playing hard. My thing was just put my head down, give everything I had in that moment, try to get us as far ahead as we can.
We needed someone else to step up besides James and Don. He was just absolutely incredible tonight.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Behind the orange and blue, with all your might.
Audio courtesy of NBC. Everybody relax. Everybody sit back. We can get calm again. I know there was a little uneasiness last night in Toronto as things were going down a very, very bad path. About halfway through the second quarter, Toronto was hitting threes. The Cavs just kind of took some time to wake up. It seemed like things were not going the Cavaliers' way for a while there, and then things got jump-started at the end of the second quarter, and then the beginning of the third. Max Strus and Jared Allen took over. They say role players at home. That's what you need. Maybe guys you can't depend on the road, and boy, were they big in igniting a massive Game 7 Cavs run. And that place finally got a Cavalanche. Daryl Ryder is in for Ken Carman today. Ken sailing the seas. We might hear from him over the course of the next few days. We'll see. But Daryl, you were there. I was at home. I was pacing around all day. I was trying to figure out around the house what I can do to not think about Game 7. And then once the kids got put to bed, it was like, all right, buckle up. The season could be over. This core could be over. Kenny Atkinson, jobs could be at stake. And here we go. Best of 7 against Detroit starting tomorrow night.
They stave off Armageddon for now until we see what they do in Detroit. But look, that building was a little tense in the first day. They fell behind twice by 10 points and 13 turnovers in the first half. I mean, just it was really, really sloppy basketball. It was a continuation of what we had seen in Game 6. As well as the previous 2 games in Toronto, where they just didn't take care of the basketball. Then, I do believe you guys call it flipping the switch. About 2 minutes to play in that second quarter, they flipped the switch. You went into halftime tied at 49, and they scored the first 9 points of the third quarter, and they were off to the races from there. And they finally got to use the Cavalanche machines.
The one that famously didn't get used last year against Indiana?
Yes. They turned on the Cavalanche machines in the second half.
It felt like a pep rally.
Actually, it was in the fourth quarter.
Honestly, the whole fourth quarter. I know Toronto made there was some fouling that prolonged the game. We kept sending them to the line in the fourth quarter.
I don't think there were enough reviews in that game last night.
Right, and it seemed like every single one went against the Cavs.
Yes.
Even though Reggie Miller, I was laughing because Owen before the show is like, hey, finally we had a normal broadcast team that we're used to, because obviously with the new rights explosion in the NBA and the streaming, you never know who's going to be doing your game until like an hour before. And it was like, all right, Sunday night basketball on NBC, which is something they're clearly trying to ignite, and what a way to do it, because they had a pair of Game 7s yesterday. One was there, and the other, I think, was on ABC or ESPN. Yeah. It was awesome viewing. I mean, it's to have this many Game 7s in the first round. I think we've had some 40-odd games already to start the playoffs, and Tirico was as good as always. And the thing about Reggie is, he is not afraid to tell you when calls are bad, to tell you when players are bad. And I don't know, I kind of felt like Reggie was rooting for Toronto at times yesterday. Tirico's a pro's pro, whatever. I think Reggie kind of loves that going on the road. He was going for the story.
He was kind of treating the Cavs like the Knicks. What did the Cavs ever do to Reggie Miller? What did they do to hurt you, Reggie?
I thought that just everything he was saying for about 2 hours of basketball, I was disagreeing with every single one. They made up this narrative, and you know how this works in radio and TV and media. They showed a montage at halftime, Harden and Mitchell coming out passive, and it's like, I don't know. Then you cut shots of James Harden creating nice plays and Donovan Mitchell just missing threes, but shooting the ball. It would be one thing if they were passing up shots. I don't know. It was just a weird narrative. They wanted the Game 7 Harden to be a big issue, and he got to the line and got people involved and spread the ball around, didn't turn the ball over.
James Harden's
played defense.
He's back to 500 in Game 7s. He's 4-4.
Oh, he's also now 500 in his career in Series 1, and I think he's 15-15 now. So I'm hard-pressed to find many with more playoff experience outside of LeBron than James Harden. And we'll get to his game a little bit later on, but I mean, stealing the show, without a doubt. I mean, Jared Allen and Max Strus and Sam Merrill. Those guys provided everything that you had been missing for most of this series, which was you needed some playoff try hard, some physicality. You needed to make your presence felt. And that Jared Allen, I mean,
where's he been?
I gotta say, I've been zigging while everybody's been zagging. Like when people are high on him, I've been lower. When people have been low on him, I've been higher. I've really felt bad about the injuries over time. And when he came into this series, and I thought it was noticeable, he was getting rebounding in this series. Like I think he was gutting through it. But every time I saw him, I'm like, he can't jump. I'm not going to crush him because he's clearly trying to play through injuries. Same thing I said for Garland last year. I can't crush Garland. Like, he's trying to play. He clearly can't, but he's trying to play through injuries. All we do is just blast guys for being soft when they're trying to play through it. And then that Jared Allen I saw yesterday was as healthy as I've seen him all year. Just taking off from like the free throw line, the dunks, the
running
blocks.
the floor.
Yes, it was a different. Atkins had even said in the clip that we started the show with, like, I've coached him for a long time.
Best I've seen him.
And it's the best I've seen. I don't know. Have you guys seen a better Jared Allen than that? Just putting it all together on both ends of the floor?
If that's the Jared Allen the Cavaliers are going to get going forward through this playoff run, they're going to be in very, very good shape. I mean, that was sensational to watch him in the third quarter. 14 points, 10 rebounds, blocked a couple of shots. Had
That's a quarter?
Yeah, had a couple of steals, was running the floor. He took off from the free throw line and slammed one home. Like, he got mean last night, and I mean that as a compliment. Like, he really got annoyed and aggravated.
Well, they yanked him to the ground earlier in the game, and yet that wasn't a flagrant.
No, and it wasn't even.
They went high and yanked him. There were like two acts there.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a play on the ball.
Yeah.
And I forget the official's name, but he's like, yeah, he had him by the shoulder, brought him down by the shoulder. So that's not a flagrant act. And I'm just like, didn't even make a play on the ball, tackled the guy. This isn't football.
And then Donovan Mitchell is getting called for flagrants later in the game.
And Strus got called for one too.
The headbutt.
And listen,
the moose got a little loose and used his antlers. What was that?
I will say
from Max Strus.
They got pretty lucky with those flagrants because that had an opportunity to turn the tide back in the Raptors' favor, and it did not. And I think
they went ice cold, too. They were feeling Game 7 pressures on the road. Guys that have been great all series or in parts of the series, all of a sudden that evaporated, which was good to see.
The first half, Toronto played real free and easy. You could feel that you could feel
they were
coming
impressive.
Out. The Cavaliers were a little tight, especially in that first quarter. You could feel it. And it wasn't until late in the second quarter where you felt like the Cavs started to loosen up and get their bearings. The crowd was certainly behind them, but you could feel a little nervousness in the building when they fell behind by 10 points. And then just the roof caved in on Toronto. And the Cavs really put the boots to them.
Well, we annihilated them on the board. So the toughness thing, look, you're going to have to do it again because Detroit, they are a very physical team. Statistically, they were, I think, the second best defense in the league last year. Toronto was the fifth. But I did see something. Sometimes it takes, look, I didn't want 7 games. Nobody wanted 7 games. It's ridiculous the series went 7. I said if Kenny Atkinson would have saved his challenges for the right moments, I think we had 2 games we would have won in this series.
Listen,
were losses.
Let's give Kenny some credit for an MVP performance last night. 0 first half challenges.
I said pregame, I was watering the lawn. I made a little video and posted it on X. This was my way of making sure to stem the anxiety. I'm like, people are like, why are you watering your lawn again? I'm like, I'll do it every day. If it keeps me from having to think about my team being eliminated, whatever. And I was pacing back and forth like I told you. And I'd said in this video, I said, man, if Dan Gilbert was in attendance yesterday, he was there in his typical Cavs owner seat.
If they would have lost that game, I think he would have fired Kenny walking off the floor.
Well, I said, Daryl, if he even tries to challenge anything in the first 3 quarters, I'm relieving him of his duties. I have to, because that means you haven't learned. I swear, I think they would have won the two games, the Game 4, the Game 6. I think both of those games had they have saved the challenges. So I hope they learned their lesson. We don't need to agonize over a dispute in the second quarter that's not even putting your guy in foul trouble. Like I don't understand that at all. So hopefully they learned their lesson there. But in the end, like it was nice to see that dominating rebounding edge, like our guys finally in this series against the plucky Raptors who we're not supposed to be here. Nobody picked us to win this series. Finally, our guys imposed their will in a way that I think can be meaningful, that to see both Evan have his moments of aggressiveness. I know his stat line wasn't anything special,
right,
but then to see Donovan Mitchell get his bounce back, to see role players stepping up, to see Harden limit the turnovers and play defense and bait their star into foul trouble. Like, that's the recipe for making a deep run in a conference where almost nothing separates 1 through 8, which is all I've been making a case for, to wake this city up, to get them pumped. And I know the Cavs had to prove something to all of you guys. And I don't know if Toronto's 7 games is going to do it. It probably isn't for some of you. Some of you are probably still down on the Cavs. We'll play some Charles Barkley audio where he said he would be embarrassed if he were the Cavs. The fact that this even went 7 games, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Detroit, they should be embarrassed. They went 7 games against Orlando, a team that shouldn't even have been in the postseason.
You know who should be embarrassed?
The Boston Celtics, who are eliminated. Hey, the 2 J's, you guys can watch us at home. Have fun watching the Cavaliers in Detroit.
It's wide.
And the Knicks in Philly.
It's wide open for the Cavs now.
Of course it is.
It's wide open.
It's always been wide open for the Cavs, but they had to hold up their end of the bargain, and it looked like they were on the brink of spoiling an all-time opportunity. And now, Daryl, I'll tell you, I think they are going to make a run. I think they are going to beat Detroit. This is going to be a brutal series to watch. I can guarantee you that. I do think there are going to be fights. I do think you might get ejections. You got to play it cool. When it comes to that, they've got guys that just want to come in and literally start warfare. But I think this team is going to the Eastern Conference Finals. And why not? Why not the NBA Finals? Look at the other teams. They've all got issues.
Yes.
And that's what I've said from moment one this year.
I think
and now that Boston's eliminated, that it worked out perfectly. The way you strategized the bracket in the final 2 weeks that for some reason came under scrutiny from idiots. Like, this worked out to perfection. And a Cavs team that didn't get to practice, that always had staggered injuries and couldn't get their full unit together. They're as healthy as they've been all year. And that 7-game series was the best set of practices you could ever have for the wars that you're going to have coming up. And I actually think you might have some advantages in this series that you didn't have against the Raptors. Hold that thought there. We'll get to it. 216-474-0092. We've got plenty more your way. We have lots of reaction about Jared Allen and his coming out party. Was it the Cavaliers coming out party in full? I want to hear from Cavs fans today. How are you feeling? Are you finally going to be on my side now about a deep run here in the postseason? 216-474-0092. We'll get to all that straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Guys,
Check it out.
That's just me giving energy to everybody else. That's what I hear Game 7s were like, and that's what I tried to do. I tried to give energy to every single person that I could. People walking in, the security staff. I tried to just do it for everybody. And then I tried to translate it with energy on the floor. I feel like people call me the head of the snake sometimes. I just try to set an example. I'm not the most vocal guy. If I can set an example by playing the hardest on the court, people will follow.
What a performance. Jared Allen, 19 rebounds as they demolished the Raptors on the glass yesterday. He was a massive part in it, but also the defensive prowess. It felt like they credited him with 3 blocks, but he was chasing everything. We wondered at the end of the year, would he be able, with all the pain, the discomfort, after he had that contusion, every time you would see him try to jump, it was kind of painful for him to land. He kind of spoke to that. And then yesterday I saw a different guy. I saw a guy that looked healthy and looked like he was able to set all that other stuff aside. And what a performance in a Game 7 that they absolutely needed the way things were going.
I'm kind of hoping the Pistons try and tackle him every game, because after that play, he was a completely different player. He got angry. I think he got angry. I think that just woke him up. Because, my criticism over the years of Jared is, when it came to basketball, I just think he's too nice. He's just such a good guy, okay, that he's just not mean enough. Last night he was mean, and it was beautiful to watch. 3 block shots, 2 steals, handed out a couple of assists, was running the floor, took off from the free throw line to smash one home. That's what you need in the playoffs. You need that passion, that anger, and you got to channel it the right way. And I felt like Jarrett channeled that the right way last night, and he's the reason. And I realize other players contributed, but I really feel like he's the reason they won that game. He's the reason they were able to flip that script in the third quarter and take control of that basketball game and throw it into cruise control throughout the fourth quarter. They're up 22 points. They went from down, again, they fell behind by 10 points twice in the first half. So you're talking about a 32-point swing in about a quarter and a half for the Cavaliers. Okay, Jared Allen was a huge part of that. 14 and 10 in the third quarter alone with a couple of blocks. Just absolutely insane. So, hey, I caution the Pistons. Be very careful coming after Jared Allen.
Well, look, he's a guy that you're not going to, dump the ball into him and let him work the post. That's just not a huge part of his game. So he has to do all the other little things. And look, in this series, the one thing you kept waiting for, and I saw it with all the other playoff series, you see guys, especially defensive pressure on the wing. It is supposed to be tough to just go through your offense. And yet Toronto kept getting open looks. They were playing kind of fearlessly, especially for a Game 7 on the road, the way they came out at halftime. And I'm just like, man, we're like the one team in the league that's not pressuring the basketball. And then Max Strus got a steal on Scotty Barnes, and Jared Allen was blocking shots inside. Finally, you made them feel you in a way that you hadn't through 6+ games. And this has to be the standard. This is how it's got to be for you to make this deep run that I've been talking about.
Yeah, and Barnes had to go to the bench in the third quarter with 5 fouls. I know Strus got nailed with the flagrant, but you need guys like Strus and Schroeder to get under the skin of your opponents in the same way that we've seen over the years Cavalier playoff opponents get under the skin of the Cavs.
We're always on the receiving end of it.
Right.
You got to start dishing it out.
Right. You got to start dishing it out a little bit. I kind of felt like Jarrett really dished it out in the third quarter.
This is the first time we've seen him. You brought it up in the past, Anthony. Jarrett has one of his best abilities is that he doesn't let, when he gets posterized on a dunk, he doesn't let that dwell with him. But it's been almost a detriment where you're like, hey, we kind of need to see some fire out of you somewhere. And we finally saw some fire last night.
And apparently there was fire even before the game. Listen to James Harden talking about Jared Allen and maybe a different version of Jared Allen.
he doesn't really talk, too much, but he was talking today, you know what I mean? He was like, he had like a mean side to him today, which is what we need out of Jay. Like when he plays like that, we're a different ball club, you know what I mean? Just because our presence inside is felt, and then obviously our perimeter, we can do a lot on the perimeter. But when him and Ev are like aggressive and they're rebounding the basketball, they're finishing around the rim, they're just in attack mode, we got two sides of the floor.
And that's what it has to be if you're going to play these two bigs that don't necessarily have offensive takeover abilities. Evan, we saw bits and pieces of it. I know yesterday there was a big conversation about Evan's game. I'll get to more of that in a little bit under analysis for Evan. But I think those two guys, they have to be doing all those things. They have to dominate the boards, or it's a huge detriment to be playing those two guys together.
Yeah, and what I really liked about what I saw last night is it felt like the ball movement. There was energy offensively in the passing lanes. Like it just, because there were some times where things got stagnant. I remember it was in Game 6. There was an offensive possession where James Harden hung out at midcourt through the entire offensive possession. Like he took it off. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is a closeout game. The hell you doing? Get in there, get involved, right? And it just, there were too many times where the basketball was sticking on the road. Look, they're going to have to find a way, by the way, to win a game on the road. They cannot win the series without taking a game on the road. So they absolutely, before they play Game 3 Saturday night, or I should say Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, they got to come home 1-1. Series has got to be 1-1 after 2 games, okay? Got to get one in Detroit. And, obviously that's going to be a talking point for this team because they've not played well on the road in the playoffs the last couple of years.
A normally short turnaround after a Game 7 spells a lot of trouble for a team in the Cavs situation. The good news is the higher-seeded team, they just went through a 7-game war, too. It's not like they've been sitting back and waiting and getting healthy and refreshed. Ted in South Carolina. How are you, Ted? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, I'm calling to say I can't believe it, but Lima, I agree with you. They're going on a run. It's time. It's time they're going in. And Jared looked great last night. And I wasn't really crazy about the balance for the Cavs last night.
Okay, why so?
Just with the exception of you were just talking about Harden hanging out in the middle of the court.
Well, that was in Game 6. That wasn't in Game 7 last night.
Well, he did a little bit of that last night, and I was a little tired of watching Evan dribbling the ball all over the place. I like him when he's a little bit more down, closer to the basket, and playing toward the block. But not all the time. I mean, he makes a good 3 every now and then as well, too. But I agree that the run is coming.
All right, Ted. Yeah, get fired up. That's right. This is the time. Listen, the playoffs, they can make fools of a lot of us. Listen, if you go by the history, you have every reason to believe the Cavs are going to flame out or we're going to flame out. I understand it. My pushback was that I felt like the other teams have flaws too. And this team, if they can magically come together, and sometimes it might take a series like that. It might take a 7-game series where you had to battle some real adversity. We used to laugh about that. But that Miami series last year did not adequately prepare the Cavs for anything.
Well, and Kenny Atkinson said that, mentioned that after the game. He actually mentioned it before the game, too. It's just the ease, right? Because it came up, hey, a lot of folks don't believe this thing should have gone 7. You should have handled your business by now. And he said, listen, a year ago, we blew right through Miami. And then look what happened. So, as he put it, felt like it really galvanized them as a team, this 7-game series against Toronto. We're going to find out, okay? It's easy to be riding the high of the wave this morning. They got to carry this thing forward now. The opportunity is there. There are no excuses for this basketball team not to realize their potential. I would argue they are the most talented roster remaining in the Eastern Conference.
Ooh, that's a good one.
But
that's a good. We'll put that under the microscope.
But that doesn't guarantee anything. You still got to go out there and do it.
It's also round 2 coming up, Daryl, and we've seen round 2.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah,
for 3 years in a row.
Well, remember they had that 7-game series against Orlando where they came back. They were down 20 at home. in a Game 7. They battled back to win that series, and unfortunately,
they flamed out.
That's the success that they had. I will say this about James Harden.
The peak for this iteration, I know Harden's been added to the mix, but I'm just saying the peak of Kobe Altman's post-LeBron 2.0 was while they've been gentlemanly swept in the conference semifinals. Yeah. So here you go. Here's a question for you. If the Cavaliers lose in 6, is that a step forward for them?
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, they need to win this series.
Why not? They will have won one more game in the conference semifinals than they did the previous 2 years.
That will not be enough for me, and I suspect that would not be enough for most Cavs fans.
They would match their conference semifinals win total from the last 2 years combined, Lima.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions going forward about, people were like, well, if they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but it's Boston and it's 6 games, and Boston ain't in it.
Yeah.
There is no Boston. You, on paper, right, probably should be the favorite now to win the Eastern Conference.
Well, we'll get to that. I have the numbers in front of me.
I was talking about it on my show yesterday, how grumpy I was, not only that there was a Game 7, but I could not enjoy the fact that the Celtics got bounced.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Because the Cavaliers had yet to handle their business.
It was a thing of beauty
but you know
for me.
What? I woke up this morning, I'm enjoying the fact that the Celtics got bounced.
All of you should be. Cleveland, you should be enjoying. Hey, it's a flawed team, 100%. Welcome to the playoffs. I don't want to get into ball knower stuff right now, but you know what? When we return, I do have an explanation as to a lot of the James Harden 30 feet from the basket. I can explain some of it. I'll try not to be condescending. I'm just going to get to some nitty-gritty. You know me, Owen. I like to spread the game like the gospel. I like to do my best to let everybody in, and I think I have a chance to do that.
Lima's not going to be condescending? What have they done to Anthony Lima?
216-474-0092. Big man is away at the seas. We've got Daryl Ryder in, working on some things later in the show. And also, about those championship odds. Eastern Conference Championship, that is. That's all straight ahead on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Buy 4, get 4 free. And Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
It's still somewhat of a new team. You know, we got James late, you got me late, Dennis, Keon. Like, we still are somewhat of a new group. So going through tough things, going through adversity, coming out on top of it, you learn a lot about each other. You learn about how we're going to deal with that in the room and what we need from people. And I think it was just important to go through that now.
That was Max Strus, and he missed 6 threes yesterday, but it was in the mold of who cares.
Yep.
Do other things to help your team win. And I thought Max did a bunch of that because I was a little uneasy about the early Max minutes, and boy, did he get going. And he was a nuisance to Scotty Barnes. He was letting them all know on that bench. I mean, he hit a 3 in the corner that I think Harden assisted on, and he stared right at their bench. And you need a little bit of that. You need a guy that the other team absolutely wants to strangle, the other team's fans.
Yes.
and their players, which is what I thought I saw yesterday. Here's also Donovan Mitchell on the effort from Max Strus.
He's a maniac. He's a maniac, right? Like, he headbutted dude. Like, that dude, man, he's just, you can't really describe all the stuff that he does, right? Obviously, yeah, he was a 4 of 10, 2 of 8 from 3, like 8 rebounds, 5 assists, but like, it was just the energy level, like you said, right? Like, he just comes out and sets a tone for us. There's a lot of things he does on the court that don't show up on the stat sheet. We've said that since we've gotten him here. I feel he gets labeled as a shooter, but I mean, he had an in-between spin to a cross to a finish. I've never seen him do that in my life. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when he's a gamer, like when the big moments come, he's a guy you want to go to war with. Everybody in this locker room wants to go to war with that, but you want a crazy dude on your side, and he's one of those for sure.
And you do need guys like that, and he had to make himself useful in other ways. You know, last year we made a lot of the terrible elimination game. He's a streak shooter, but it's not just about whether you make or miss in playoff games, because you see efficiency numbers across the board have plummeted in the NBA. I think points per game have gone down 9 from the regular season. It's the biggest chasm we've seen from regular season to the postseason. As a lot of people have to become familiar with, the playoffs are just such a different game, but now it's even more pronounced what we're seeing. So, yeah, missing shots, okay. Actually, turnovers. There's going to be more turnovers in these games. You got to make up for it. You've got to find a way to do other things. And it seemed like, Daryl, Max was playing at a different speed than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. You have to, if the shot isn't falling for you, you have to find other ways to contribute. And he did that with the hustle plays, the getting under Barnes' skin, drawing fouls, even the flagrant foul. Like,
which I was nervous there for a second.
I thought he was getting ejected.
They're going to talk this into existence, the headbutt, as a total unnatural act. And I'm just like, if they throw him out of this game after what he just was responsible for.
Right.
You know, and he had that and the foul beforehand. I'm like, oh, no, Max is a little now too supercharged. Like, you got to put the governor on. But in the end,
because he had 2 fouls in the backcourt.
That gave them free throws.
They gave him free throw. And it was interesting. The first time he did it, he's hitting himself on the head because he had just realized I just sent them to the free throw line on a foul in the backcourt, right? They didn't even have to run an offensive set to get free throws. But then he came right back and fouled again. And I'm like, Max, what are you doing, right? But you need that heel. Like Matthew Dellavedova was a little bit of a heel for the Cavaliers over the years. Andy Varejao at times was a little bit of a heel, right? But the Cavs have never really had that true blue enforcer heel that actually
Kendrick
contributed.
Perkins, come on.
No, I'm talking about like
actually gets on the court and plays.
Oh yeah, you actually have to play.
You have to actually play.
Last year, people wanted Tristan to be that. Tristan didn't even get on the court.
Couldn't get on the
right?
floor.
A guy that could actually score, right? Could actually rebound. Could actually contribute.
And we wanted it from Max last year, and he sent the text last year, and then he gave us 0 points, right, in the game when it mattered the most. Yesterday was complete opposite, right? And, Donovan brought it up there. The dribble between the legs, the step back. It was different stuff that you saw, the headbutt, obviously. Like, if you can contribute 4 points and do all that, I think it changes the way people view you.
Now I have to intervene on one thing. In 216-474-0092, because I'm going to share those those Eastern Conference championship odds and all that good stuff, because now it seems like a total toss-up to see who's going to be playing in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Lima's already preparing to redecorate the rafters at Rocket Arena to make room for the new banner.
He knows one he's going to take down.
Well, hold on. You know which one I'm going to take down. Also, do I need to go back to the NBA merchandise store for our friend in the afternoon?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. It'll be quicker. It's a shorter
that's true.
transpo time.
Listen, I'm not going to lie. I am definitely going to enjoy that juicy burger I mowed.
Yeah, you won. You won the bet, right? What was the bet over?
I was called a coward for not picking a Cavaliers sweep. I said Cavs in 5. So, yeah, I did give him the option, though. He has the option. This is my way of trying to mooch even more food out of him. But I gave him the option if he wanted to get me a platter of sliders, but they spell out coward for me.
Okay.
If he doesn't want to get me the burger, I will accept a platter of sliders spelling out coward.
You guys, very comprehensive burger bets you make on that afternoon show. All I would say is this. People were like,
listen, I'm getting a lot of free food.
Well, that's all that matters. At least somebody is. People ask, are you gonna hammer Nick about this? And I'm like, no, what's 7 games against Toronto? I'm not puffing my chest out about that.
Are you going to order him?
I do recognize.
Are you going to get him like a model engine or something
from Detroit?
Yeah,
I got to get him something, right?
To box it up, right, with some tissue paper. You open it up, and there's some pistons there.
I had some fun with Nick at the start of the series. For those that don't know, I gifted him some Raptors gear because it was a pennant. So, because I was in the socks.
day, I was in that day. It was a pennant, some socks,
and a basketball hoop,
and a basketball hoop that I suggested we put over there for Ken Carman.
He never put it up.
No, he took it home for his kids.
Okay,
but I felt like Ken could use the assistance because little off on the shot from where he sits, little off on the shot when it comes to the paper tosses.
Yeah, John's got to clean up all the pen. He hasn't even had a stapler thrown at him yet, which is.
Well, John hasn't cleaned up the paper yet.
It's just a matter of time. Real quick, I want to get this in. James Harden, the standing around. I will say that Toronto made a concerted effort to blanket him wherever he was on the floor. Like they were picking him up 60 feet, even when he wasn't the point guard in the backcourt. He wasn't bringing the ball up.
Yeah.
And I do think you got to recognize part of that allows more space. It felt like they were operating in a phone booth for much of this series. And I think the Cavs, they brought Harden out a little bit to free up some spacing for everybody else. And I think that also helps some other role players get going, because if you're claustrophobic, that's what it felt like. It felt like there were 6 Raptors on defense the whole series. And I think the Cavs, they had some faith that, all right, Harden can pull a defender out. Because if you saw how Shed was, basically denying him the basketball way out, I mean, that frees things up. And that's how I think you saw Evan Mobley putting the ball on the deck.
Yeah.
Donovan got going a little bit more. I think that gravity, I think, was a big part of opening things up for everybody else.
And Toronto adjusted to after the first 2 games where, Donovan was driving to the basket. He was either finishing at the rim or he was spraying it out to the perimeter. And it felt like Toronto cut that off. They shut that off throughout the series, and because it kept asking the question, why isn't Donovan going to the basket? Why isn't Donovan going to the basket like he did in the first 2 games? And it was because, Toronto did such a good job rotating and clogging that up that it felt like it threw Donovan off his game a little bit for a couple of those games. So we'll see what Detroit does. Detroit's a very good defensive basketball team. And I think this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. And hopefully the Cavaliers learn something from the defense the Raptors played against them. Kenny Atkinson mentioned last night he really feels like they can take that and use that to help them win this Pistons series.
All right, Daryl was in attendance yesterday. When we come back, did it feel like Cleveland and the fan base held up their end of the bargain in a Game 7 matchup, a winner go home? We will start to get into the nuts and bolts of just how high a probability is it that the Wine and Gold are going to make the deep run that I have been clamoring for, that we've all been hoping for. That's all coming up straight ahead. Don't forget Lima Likes at 7:40, where we have a Gone Fishing that mentions somebody who we have been referencing over the last 2 weeks. Plenty of it was that fair foul. That's all straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It's Anthony Lima for Fanatic Sportsbooks, and they are turning up the heat with what they are calling squad bets this time of year. Available
do what the stars do. The role players are what create a bigger factor in the series. There's always going to be somebody who changes the game, like Dennis, Jacoby Walter. Everybody's going to have an impact on the game that you don't expect. And every time they do a little small thing, it adds up. It compounds into going out and winning the game, like Max crazy self, headbutting somebody. Like we laugh about it, but that gives us energy. The stuff like that just propels us forward.
Laughing about the headbutt. It's nice to be on that side of things for once. There's some deranged behavior there out of Max Strus that I think did ignite. That can go one of two ways, obviously. Sometimes that ignites the other team. But you notice Toronto, it just seemed like they tensed up and they remembered, oh, man, we're on the road in a Game 7. Yeah. And none of us, particularly except for Scotty, are considered prime-time players. And look, so many of those guys played well. And the whole series, I'm like, why are some of these guys outplaying our really good players? But they came down to reality in a big way, and I just think that Max Strus, Jared Allen, Sam Merrill, Tyson, they all at home in a Game 7 where so often we have seen the Cavs in big moments kind of fall apart when it came to the NBA playoffs over the last 5 years, really, with this core. But yesterday it was the opposite. You had guys step up and just do all the little things. But they might not have been efficient from the floor, but they did the little things. And that, to me, is very promising. If you're going to make a deep run, it has to be all hands on deck.
Listen, you need a little crazy in the playoffs on your side. And I think the Cavaliers certainly have that. But I feel like this is a lesson learned for them. Kenny Atkinson talked a little bit about that after the game and just how this series, when you compare to last year, right? And everyone was like, well, you absolutely obliterated Miami last year. This was a series you should have wrapped up quickly, right? There were some folks that felt it should have been a sweep. I thought it was going to be a 5-game series. Others said 6. I don't think anyone thought this thing was going to go 7. But in the end, it's all about surviving and advancing. The Cavaliers survive. They advance. You have been marked safe from Angry Cavalier fan this morning.
Today was going to be a rough one. I'm not going to lie. I talked a big game about this team and how deep of a run I thought they could make, and they were on the brink. I mean,
well, if they would have lost to the Jamal Shed-led Raptors, which is what it was in the first half.
Yeah,
Jamal
he was
Shed
awesome.
Was doing whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
He looked like the best player on the court.
He outplayed Donovan. He outplayed Harden in the first half, and that would have been a total disaster.
Been pitchforks myself waiting for you to
walk
through the door this morning.
100%. I would have 100% have deserved all of that because I've been trying to get
one from Detroit.
Well, listen, I've been trying to get the city amped up about the playoffs because the playoffs are awesome. And I want to know, Dale, you were in the crowd yesterday. I mean, that fan base, you considered them very tense, right, for a while, which is where it can actually
the Cavs, right?
Well,
in the first half,
there was a smattering.
You heard boos?
There were a smattering of boos when they fell behind by 10 points the second time. Yeah, there was a smattering of boos. Now, starting out the game, there was a lot of positive energy in the building. Okay, I mean the Cavs game ops staff, they do such a great job getting the crowd engaged and fired up and ready to go, and they were. The crowd was doing their part. Problem was the Cavaliers were not doing their part early in the game, but. You could feel there was a little tightness there for a while, and then once they got going and they tied the game at halftime, okay, they went to the locker room tied at 49. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, at that point, Toronto and Cleveland were dead even on the scoreboard.
Yes, 7-18 to 7-8.
So I am right about that. So and then they come out with the 9-0 run to start the third quarter, and then the roof just blew off the place. It was electric.
I kind of felt like
there.
I felt like the game was over at that point. I really
didn't
did.
hit a 3 until like 22:50 into the game, right?
Yeah.
And then they hit 2 to close it out and tie the game up. And I thought, oh well, they got their shooting back, but it was Jared Allen that really, took it over on the boards and created the physical presence that they needed to get back into it.
Something that I found interesting in this series, Owen and Anthony, from Kenny Atkinson, he's talked about halftime a couple of times in this series, and the mood in the locker room, the conversations in the locker room, and whatnot. And I've always subscribed to the thought of, we always talk about halftime adjustments, whether it's football or basketball. And I'm often dismissive of that because it's like, how much are you going to adjust? And like, you're in the locker room for literally 5 minutes. Like, you're not in there long. So how much are you really going to get done in that condensed time? And again, whether that's NFL or NBA, right? And I've kind of always downplayed the whole halftime adjustment narrative. But Kenny Atkinson talking multiple times about the mood, the vibe in the locker room at halftime.
We put on the film of the game, we put in sections of the first half, and those guys just, I can hear them. We're not far from them. I can hear them. They're talking through the clips themselves. We just kind of wait. We get our keys and we get our maybe 3 or 4 clips to show them, but I love that conversation. And we got high IQ players. They're usually the biggest voices, right? Don, James, Dennis is one of them, Evan. They talk about, what we need to do better. And then the coaches come in and I asked them, what do you got first? And they had some good feedback. And then I said, man, make the extra pass, make the simple pass, hit singles, and we'll win this, we'll win this game.
It's interesting to hear that because a lot of this is outcomes based, right?
Yes.
There was a report from their sideline report. I'm not familiar with who that lady is.
Serena Winters.
No. I'm talking the one that was on the national broadcast.
Oh, gotcha.
And she had a report that Kenny Atkinson says, hey, yeah, pretty much James Harden laid out the game plan for the team, and I ran it by him, and, he was good with it. And I'm just like, you're the head coach. And
it's the second time we've really heard something like the ballroom thing
that
Varden had brought
and
up.
It's like,
in the past.
that's great. I love that you're leaning on some veterans.
You're crowdsourcing the locker room on what your game plan is.
It's a little, look, you went 7 games against the Raptors. Maybe you need to develop the game plan. Look, in the end, it's all laughing and fun because they won. But you can also get carried away with that, too.
Could you imagine if Todd Monken just crowdsourced the Browns' game plan for the Steelers?
Again,
within the locker room?
You do want to take the input of guys that have established themselves and whatever. But in the end, let's hear some confidence from the head coach about who you are as a team and, establishing
think about
that
the
identity.
Dynamic in this series, right? Donovan Mitchell was, after Game 5, talked about how he acknowledged that Schroeder and that unit that was on the floor at the time had the hot hand, and he was like, hey, now's not the time to put me back in. Let these guys run it for a little. And in the moment, you're like, oh, that's a real cool teammate thing to do, right? It's really cool that he's got that self-awareness. And then hit me during Game 6. I'm like, wait a minute. LeBron's not going to be like, I'm just going to chill back here while these guys are running it because things are going good. No,
sure.
Get me back in there. So
there's a balance. There's definitely a balance when it comes to this stuff.
But there seems to be a lot of this with Kenny Atkinson where he really does when he's soliciting feedback from his players, it's more than just lip service. Like, he really does take into account what they say, what they're feeling, and oftentimes, and I don't mean this negatively, but it is the reality. He's admitted it himself, so not really revealing anything people don't know, but it really, he takes their suggestions and he runs with it.
Is that why we're out of challenges all the time in key playoff games?
Well,
he's taking a little too much input from his players?
Listen, every time there's a foul, they're doing the challenge signal.
That. Yeah. Thomas and Shaker, go ahead. What's up, man?
Hey, 2 things. That's why I want to make a statement and ask your question, Lima. My statement is yesterday made me really happy because the Cavs felt like they finally grew up. Like, it finally felt like Jared Allen, for example, grew up because the last couple of years the Cavs began knocked out of playoffs because teams will out-tough them. They'll beat them up. And it's like the kids from the playground finally grew up and fought back, and that's what I felt about Jared Allen. The Cavs won this game because they have such a deep bench and have such a deep team that carried them out of the water. But my second question is, do you think that the Pistons would be a better matchup for us, considering the fact that they can't guard our guards the way that that the Raptors did, or do you think the Pistons can guard our guards?
I wrote that down as a note. Thank you for the phone call, Thomas, that I actually think there are things they can exploit with Detroit that they were going to have a lot more difficulty with Toronto. The Raptors basically have an entire army of wings that are stretchy, that are athletic, that are young, that can bother you. And when Quickly went out, I said this actually might help them because they become better defensively.
Right.
Quickly, Harden and Mitchell would have destroyed him off the dribble. Well, guess what? Detroit has some guys that Harden and Donovan Mitchell can kind of look more like Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. I don't think it's going to look like there's 30 legs and arms dangling every time you drive to the basket. I actually think there's some things they can exploit in a series against Detroit, where the odds makers right now have it pretty close to 50-50, with Detroit getting the slight edge because they are the home team in this series. But of course,
Cavs in 6.
Yeah,
Calling it now.
there you go, Daryl. Hey, you can steal home court advantage right off the rip. Coming up tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for that tip-off. 216-474-0092. I have some Browns things over the weekend that I jotted down. Apparently, the internet is clowning the Dallas Cowboys for a deal they tried to make with Andrew Berry, and it looks like he held firm, and for good reason. We had something from our old friend Mark Schlereth over the weekend that actually aired here on the station, and a Lima like some things developing with the Guardians offense. This is good to see some very good trends this time of year for your Guardians, who are kind of hovering right around 500, but with a little more in the arsenal, a little more in the tank offensively. That's all straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Hey, friends.
first round Game 1 Thursday night at Rocket Arena. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I will get to the Guardians weekend in Lima Lakes. Plenty to go over, and it's nice to have some young guys that can hit. Feels like
also nice to play in a minor league ballpark.
Yeah, what? You didn't like it?
It's such a joke.
I know.
It really is.
Yeah, we had some history. Also, Jose Ramirez. It seems like he's one of those where every time he's out there, he's achieving something that is pretty historic.
Yeah, I got to get after the Guardians. They jumped too far ahead in their Jose Ramirez bobblehead game. They did the 250 homers, 250 steals bobblehead, and now it's outdated. He's going to be 300.
Well, Daryl's our trusted resource when it comes to bobblehead collections. And I knew you'd have a big take on this, so put that on the video, Joey. Mass distribution on that. All right, we'll get to that coming up in Lima Lakes. Some plenty of good audio out there as well. Cavaliers a winner. They move on. I didn't see this from over the weekend. It's awfully quiet on the Browns front, but it's always cool, especially when you feel like you knock a draft out of the park for the second consecutive year, at least according to the experts, that it's nice to do an autopsy on how that happens. And we got even more information unearthed over the weekend. And this came from ESPN as they did a show. The pick is in, taking you behind the scenes of everything draft. Got a couple of clips here. The first, I think, was the anatomy of the trade that did not go down, right? This was something the Cowboys tried to manifest.
Yeah, it was pretty cool because you got to see the Browns war room and the Cowboys war room and Stephen Jones and Andrew Berry being on the phone together.
Heck yeah.
Pretty sweet to see what happened and how the Browns didn't make a pick.
New Orleans Saints select Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State.
They're on the clock. They're on the clock. I offered their 9-24 for 12 and 20.
And say, what else would you want? Is this Andrew?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Steven. Are y'all going to pick away here?
We are. We wouldn't do the swap of the first round.
Okay, if we threw in a 5, would that change it?
No, that wouldn't really move for us.
Doesn't move the needle. Okay. I keep hearing Cleveland wants an offensive lineman, and they're worried New York's going to take it. They don't want to get behind the Giants.
All right, hey, Ayers, this is your orange dot, buddy. What's it like about Spencer Pop?
We're getting the best tackle in this entire draft. This kid's rare combination of athleticism, quickness, strength, and his ability to excel on pass protection is truly something special. I think he's an excellent run blocker. He's gritty, he's tough, he's rangy, and most important thing, like, this is the best person in the entire draft. This is one of the highest character guys I've done in the 10 years I've been on the road. This guy fits us beautifully.
Browns pick Bono.
Exactly what they wanted. They just picked up an extra third and an extra fifth.
All right, you hear Adam Schefter there at the end. You heard violins to build the intrigue for that yesterday. So when you saw that footage, when you heard that, what did it change anything on what you thought about how all this went down?
Not really. I mean, the behind the scenes in the war room view is obviously a door that rarely gets opened for fans. You had the Yahoo piece, detailing what happened with the Browns in this draft and in the scene in the war room. Now you got from the paragraph description now to the visual. You actually got to see it in action. Andrew Berry, talked during his draft availability about basically his phone blowing up. There was plenty of activity of teams wanting to do business with the Browns because they had the 2 first-round picks. So really, I mean, that was just confirmation of information we already knew. But we got to see something that you don't get to see, and that is you have 2 football executives negotiating behind the scenes, trying to make a trade happen. In this case, Andrew said, yeah, that's not going to move the needle for us when you throw in that 5. So that for me, that's what's cool about that show is that you're getting an inside look into these war rooms, which is access that is not privy, not just to fans, but also most media. Like, it's very rare that teams allow a writer to be embedded in their war rooms because those rooms are, such closely guarded secrets.
Well, and you saw, most people think the Cowboys are a laughingstock besides the Cowboys, right? Cowboys fans. It was an opportunity that, they tried to do a pick swap of the first round picks, 9 and 24 for Dallas's 12 and 20, right? So you get a little better later in the first round.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Berry wanted a sweetener. They went with a 5th round pick to sweeten it. That wasn't enough. Cowboys getting clowned on this morning by most on social media for thinking that was enough. Do you feel good as a Browns supporter fan, that they weren't the ones that were the laughing stock of this situation this time?
Well, here is the issue for Andrew Berry in that spot. I think it would have taken almost a Godfather offer to get Andrew to move out of 9 because they really wanted Fano. And Fano was not going to be there at 12.
No.
Like, Andrew Berry did a great job reading that board. He knew moving down with Kansas City from 6 to 9 that he was not going to lose Fano with those 2 picks. He knew that that the Rams were going to take Ty Simpson in round 1. He had a pretty good idea that that's what the Rams were going to do at number 13. So give Andrew Berry some credit on the intel gathering that he and his staff was able to do to crystallize the landscape around his picks and what teams were thinking, right? Everyone had mocked Casey Concepcion, I think, to the Browns at 24. And that ultimately came to fruition. The Browns ended up with Casey Concepcion. But yeah, I think Andrew Berry deserves a tremendous amount of credit for correctly, accurately reading the room when it came to how these draft boards were going to fall.
Now, look, the Cowboys ended up getting Caleb Downs, which I think they're ecstatic over, but they did have to trade up a spot to get him, and there's no worse feeling as a fan than when your team trades up 1. You understand the logic, like you get it, but you always feel like teams bluffed to get you there.
Well, remember when the Browns did that with the Minnesota Vikings? They went up from 4 to 3 to draft Trent Richardson.
Yeah, it just leaves you uneasy. You're like, man, would this guy have been there? I know that they're going to try to drum up offers from everybody else in the league.
So you don't think they're going to take Caleb Downs then? Because if they come up to 9, you still got one of the. They said we have another clip here where Schefter confirms that the Browns still had their 3 picks that they went. Actually, the Browns confirmed they still had 3 guys that they were targeting. I guess with Jordan Tyson being gone,
that changed the calculus for him.
That changed it a little bit. But if they're still taking Caleb Downs, like you're still going to get one of those guys if you move back to 12, right?
Yeah, well, I think what we learned is that Caleb Downs wasn't really on their board.
Well, I'm talking about Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but you still don't know who else is out there that might feel like they can move up and pounce, which then you're left empty-handed. You're like, man, I know we can still get other good players, but we did have a chance to get the guy that we clearly wanted.
I think it increases the pressure on Spencer Fano a ton for this to be public knowledge, right? And it's not just speculation or reports anymore. We have confirmed.
We have the Zapruder film now from inside the war room.
Well, and you could just tell by the way, whether it's the social media stuff, the stuff the Browns had offered up, the embedded stuff from the Yahoo reporter, and that the Browns feel like, forget about what everybody else says. And we've seen this before where the Browns thought they had good drafts, but they feel like they have 100% buy-in that this was the draft that they want. Who knows how the players are going to turn out,
Lima,
right?
they got 4 guys with first-round grades. Now, to Owen's point about Fano.
Now, we can get 4 first-round grades in this draft, a little bit different from others, but that's the best you could possibly do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that their first 4 picks could have gone any better for them. But to Owen's point, when it comes to Fano, there is a sunny side to this. Even if it doesn't work out at left tackle, he's so versatile, you can end up with him moving somewhere else on the line, and that pick still not being a bust.
That's been the theme of the whole offseason, right?
I understand that, but
versatility. Let's get all these versatile. Well, you got to eventually lock somebody in somewhere. And
but I mean, Jed Wills became a sunk cost. Like that's my point. Like Jed could, you couldn't do much with that guy. So so if it doesn't work out at left tackle for Fano, that's not an immediate bust. You have an opportunity to put him somewhere else on that line.
Meanwhile, I know we had heard, and Owen, you thought it was interesting that the Kansas City Chiefs stuff came into play here too. You took a particular interest in this.
Well, and just with the pick swap with 9 and 6, we got some of that insight as well. Here's some Adam Schefter from That Pick Is In on ESPN.
Cleveland feels like it's got to deal with somebody to move back. They've got enough opportunities, they feel like. So that I don't know whether that's Kansas City or Dallas.
All right, so let's stay on the line. Okay, I'm going to have Coop go ahead and call it in. We'll stay on the line so Chris called it in with our session.
Okay, hang on. They're on the other line. All right, 6 for 9, 74, 148. Okay, got a deal.
Cleveland has traded its pick. Kansas City is on the clock.
We have a trade. We have a trade. I got terrible Wi-Fi here. Hey, how do I get to the alert? Did the alert get up?
All right, so we traded out 6. We're going to 9 with Kansas City. Thought being we have 3 guys that we would take at this spot with Fano, Tyson, and Maui Noah. We go to 9. We're guaranteed one of those positions. We'll see what Washington and New Orleans do.
All right, so you hear the names. And I think that, again, audio courtesy of ESPN, but in that behind the scenes, I mean, you're hearing actual physical names.
He did say Fano first, too.
Yes, he did.
I mean, if you're going to actually rank them, he said that name first. I mean, everything they've told us that they got their guy, and a lot of people speculate, well, they're just saying that because that's the guy that they took.
Yeah. Well, Andrew Berry always insists. He tells us the truth in his press conferences. Well, this time around, he did tell us the truth.
Does it matter to you when you hear Tyson? The only thing that I came away with the draft, feeling that I was a little bummed is that they didn't get one of those top 3 wide receivers that
I'm not, because this
Carnell Tate obviously was the guy we talked the most about, and then Lemon, and in this case Tyson.
They got 2 other first rounders.
Yeah, well,
they did. They were not the guy. Like I'm not as high on Boston and KC. I mean, he just has to catch the ball. Like I do think he'll be electric once he gets it, but whether or not he's going to be. Look, they still debate.
I think he could be a better version of Eric Metcalf. I really do, because he's also going to help out in the punt return game, and he's electric there as well. But as far as not getting one of the top 2 or 3 wide receivers or thought of wide receivers in this class, to your point, no, I'm not, because I felt like that the class was deep enough at that position. See, I feel better about Fano, because they needed to get one of the top tackles at that position, because this was not a great class, or I should say a deep class at that spot. So tackle had to be first off the board. I think Casey Concepcion is going to be able to do just about anything that you're looking for him to do when you're talking about a premium receiver. I think that Boston, there's a reason, obviously, he fell to the second round. But, again, this is a guy that a lot of folks had first-round grades on, and you were able to get him. Basically, in your second round, you got 2 guys with first-round grades on them, okay? And so, I'm not worried about them not getting the quote-unquote, whether it's Tate or, I'm not worried about it.
Well, do you think that the question is, like, okay, they got the 2 receivers. Can either of them be a number 1? That's been the question about the wide receivers in this draft in general.
Right.
And it felt like if Tyson had a better better injury situation, I think he would have been a lot more coveted. Well, he was coveted anyway. I mean, look at where he ended up going despite the injuries.
We're so focused on the number 1 wide receiver thing, and I understand why. I get it.
I don't have one. I haven't had one.
Well, I'm not dismissing it. All I care about is these guys come in, they catch footballs, they rack up yards, they move the chains, and they put points on the scoreboard, okay? That's all I care about. Right now, Anthony, this offense was so putrid the last couple of years. The only thing I'm worried about is productivity, and I do feel like these 2 kids can come in and provide productivity.
Be nice.
The number 1 wide receiver thing's going to work itself out. I'm worried about guy. Can you come in, catch the ball? Can you score some points, move the chains? I think both these kids can do it, and it'll sort itself out.
Well, you say they'll work itself out. Well, one of these guys has to emerge as that guy, or they just don't have one. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to trade for what? You're going to commit more assets to wide receiver? Probably not happening now.
Andrew Berry loves trading for him.
But I think because they took two of them, that's probably not going to happen at this point. So that would be the only thing. There's only so much you could do in this draft. I mean, we all know what we were saying about this draft before we came in, and obviously they got a lot of guys, which was, I think, pretty good work from Andrew Berry. Just did they fill that position of number one wide receiver? 216-474-0092. At 8 o'clock, we'll certainly get back to the Cavs on their big Game 7. I want to question whether or not fans have changed their opinion when it comes to the toughness factor. That and Lima Likes. We'll go over the Guardians, what they did over the weekend. We had the Derby, and we've got teams gone fishing. And I think you're going to love some of this audio. That's all straight ahead. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima for Mentality. Look.
started even earlier. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Does Lima like or does Lima no like? Like?
Tell me likey. I'm liking it. I like it a lot.
No like.
He doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
You're tacky and I hate you.
Like or no like. Like or no like.
But I definitely knew what I liked, and I definitely knew what I didn't like.
All right, I know yesterday did not necessarily go so great for the Guardians. However, it took 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 in the series. They're back above 500. And, hey, we had all sorts of history go on over the weekend. So we start out with a Saturday, Bazana up to the plate in the 7th inning, and this happened.
And another one smacked up the middle. There it is! Into center field. Bazana's first big league hit. Plates 2 runs for the Guardians. The family goes crazy here in Sacramento. They've been waiting for this one.
The 2024 first overall pick, audio courtesy Guardians Baseball, was nice to see, was it not, Daryl? I know the average is down, but the walks, he's already drawn 6 of them in 5 games. The patience.
Do I care if it's a hit or a walk? No, I do not. He gets on base.
It was awesome to see. What a cool moment. That's still, I don't care who you are, whether you're the first overall pick, whether you're drafting like the 25th round. The first one is always so damn special. And so that one to actually do some damage, to bring some runs in, it was a wild game. It was really nice to see.
Yeah. So he checked a few boxes. First hit, first RBIs. So put the baseball in the trophy case, give it to mom and dad. Well, give it to mom for Mother's Day, which is coming up. There you go.
That's a good one.
Send that note over.
The one thing, we were a little nervous about last week, we were talking about a Chase DeLauder slump, and all he did was annihilate the baseball over the last 2 series. He had 5 hits against the Rays, and then what did he do? 8? He come through with 8 hits.
Yeah.
In that series against the A's over the weekend. He's incredible.
Hot again.
Plus, finally homered again.
He got that homer. There were many on the internet saying that it wouldn't happen for a few more months.
He would never hit a home run again.
They were wrong.
Yeah, and his batting average went up like 85 points. So that was awesome to see. Unfortunately, we did get
Lamino likes.
Did Parker Messick come back down to earth? Finally, as yesterday just didn't have it. Flat out didn't have it. Going up against Savali.
They were in that positive on the run differential, and now they're back in the negative.
Are they back in the negative? People keep saying, Lima, why do you stress about the run differential? It's just always such an easy thing to point to in the standings. Yeah, because you feel like in baseball over time, like in the NFL, the sample size is so small that those numbers can get awfully noisy. But in baseball, you feel like you play that many games over the course of a season. It's a good barometer of where your team's at. I do like
but the Guardians didn't have a great run differential last year, and they won the division.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, that's what my buddy Big Mike from Detroit always lets me know about their run differential. But I blame the Cavs first and foremost. They're the reason we even pay attention to this stuff to begin with.
Yes.
I mean, they made it chic to talk about such things.
Hey, the Cavs differential in their series was a whopping 12 points.
Hey, you know what? That sounds like a series win to me.
I'm alive.
And Jose Ramirez doing it again now. Every week, it's like a new mark. 300 stolen base, and now is just 9 home runs shy of the 300 club that only has 8 members. Daryl, how many of those members can you name?
If I Googled it, I could name them. I could name them all. But
Barry Henderson Bonds and the rest.
Barry Bonds, Willie Mays, Andre Dawson, Bobby Bonds, Reggie Sanders, Alex Rodriguez, and Carlos Beltran.
And soon to be Jose Ramirez.
No, I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Like
those guys are all pretty good.
You want to see him hit these benchmarks because we already know he has forged out a Hall of Fame case.
Well, not only that,
but you need other people to understand how good he is.
Well, not only that, but he's got so much time left in his career too. This is not a situation where like he's in the twilight of his career. This is the farewell tour, something like that. No, he's got years upon years upon years still left in him. Like he could finish with 400.
Daryl, you were upset earlier that they made the 250 bobblehead.
I feel like they jumped the gun.
That should, for a bobblehead guy like you should be glad you're getting like 2 or 3 more of these Jose something and somethings bobbleheads, right?
Have you had any bust on you? Or have you perfected taking them out, adding them to your incredible display?
As long as you don't bobble them too hard.
You don't bobble the bobblehead, do you?
Oh, no. They do not get touched.
You've clearly never had kids over the house.
Thankfully, no. Never been happier to not have children. I can still have nice things.
Bobbleheads, if you have young children, you're lucky if they make it 30 minutes out of the
We used to have an annual beheading in our house for bobbleheads.
They're fun. They are a lot of fun.
You know what? I'll give Owen for your next beheading. I'll give you my Surf and Sizemore.
They're all too old now, but I'll take it. I'm alive.
All right, so our Cavaliers, they got the job done. 7th game, they're victorious. They're still playing basketball. However, I do like
Boston doesn't even know what he wants.
Boston Celtics, you're at home.
He's giving you mixed signals.
I
Owen.
absolutely love the fact that I cherish every moment that the Celtics are at home and the Cavs are still playing basketball. And to document it, our old friends from inside the NBA, they had this for Gone Fishing.
After being knocked out by the Philadelphia 76ers, you guys are fishing. I see our buddy Bill Simmons in there, John Krasinski, Mark Wahlberg.
I don't know if you stop it. I don't. That on purpose.
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon on there, Tatum and Brown.
This last one.
Yeah. That's all I see on that boat. I don't see anything else.
I didn't see it.
And that's a wrap for Inside the NBA here on ESPN.
Audio courtesy of ESPN. The two that they danced around, that would be often referenced on the show, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini.
What, they went fishing in Arizona?
Oh, listen, did they have the backdrop? The beautiful Sedona backdrop.
Hot tubbing, guys.
I mean, I love the fact that Diana Rossini used to work at ESPN.
You can go fishing in a hot tub.
I like that they allowed this, or maybe they have no editorial control whatsoever on Inside the NBA.
They don't. It's still produced by TNT.
Yeah. Well, you just worry that they're not going to let them be them, right? And this
show's been watered down.
That's what people have been saying. I haven't seen nearly as much of it.
Here's the thing: most of ESPN's shows are so bad. Like, this is still better than anything they put out there, but it's not the same show that it was on TNT.
They're still doing the show from Atlanta, so there's a little disconnect there. And if they were on site, I'm sure it'd probably be a little different as far as information flow between the source and the guys in Atlanta.
All right, that's it for Lima Likes. When we come back, your Cavs still playing hoops. Teams like the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, they're at home. But did the Cavs pass the toughness test? 216-474-0092. We'll get to all the Game 7 reaction when we come back. Daryl is in for Ken here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
label, it always sticks with you no matter what. No matter how hard you try to change it, it's always going to follow you around. I think that if I play on my mind with wanting to change a narrative that was placed on me about prior performances, that's going to weaken my strengths going forward and always try to weigh me back. I've always been the guy that always just move forward. Things happen in the past that go my way, that don't go my way. That's just part of playing basketball, being at the professional level. Just be my best going forward.
Jarrett Allen. A complete Jarrett Allen Game 7 takeover game. Who saw that coming?
Domination.
Audio courtesy of Peacock, NBC. What a strange start to the game. And just Jarrett Allen, Max Strus, Sam Merrill, just the role players, those guys that are all role players. I know we've talked about Jarrett Allen as the core four all along when Darius was here. And I know he was an all-star, Jarrett Allen, but he's a role player. He's not a superstar. He's not really paid like a superstar or anything like that. But he gets a lot of criticism, and he's right. The way the NBA works is once the label is there, the label is there. I'm looking at Joel Embiid. Think about what guys have said about Joel Embiid. That's an MVP. It's one of the best players I've seen in the NBA in the last 20 years. James Harden. James Harden's one of the best players in the last 40 years in the NBA.
Yeah, but Jarrett Allen was the one that came out and said the lights were too bright, and that's haunted him ever since he made that comment, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
I don't think that one game is going to take away from that haunting, but it's at least a step in the right direction, right?
I think it is, yes. Yes, without a doubt. I do think, all series long, he was pretty banged up. Remember, he had missed 9 games with that contusion, and, just kind of watching him labor around, it seemed like he was not able to, be the athlete, be able to have the quick jumps that you need to play inside and get the shot blocking going. And then all of a sudden it came back yesterday. It came back with a vengeance. It's as healthy as I've seen Jarrett Allen look in quite some time. And he really did piece it together on both ends of the floor. See, part of the issue with the Cavs is they just don't have the two-way players that some of the other teams do. That's what we say about the Boston Celtics.
Right.
Between Tatum and Brown, two-way players. Derek White can be a two-way player. All right, well, that kind of faded for them, while the Cavs, by the end of the series, I saw James Harden playing really good defense. I saw Max Strus doing it on both ends and making up for maybe the streak shooting, but he brought it with that attitude and intensity, and you need that in a playoff series. That is the big difference between the playoffs and a regular season. One-way players just don't really get it done this time of year.
It really felt like when A.J. Lawson took Allen down, he tackled him. He didn't take him down. He tackled him. And then even after the review, they're like, hey, just, run down by the shoulder, no big deal. Not a flagrant foul, even though there was no basketball play being made there. It felt like that woke Jarrett up. And the angry Jarrett Allen that I have been begging to see for the last couple of postseasons finally emerged. We know Jarrett's a really good basketball player, okay? But he's almost too nice. And I kind of mean that in the nicest way, but he's just such a good guy and such a nice guy. But when you're in the playoffs, you can't be a good guy, you can't be a nice guy. And yesterday you got very angry Jarrett Allen, and it showed in that third quarter, 14 and 10. Blocked a couple of shots, had a couple of steals. He basically took over that game. And I saw a stat. Only he and LeBron James in a Game 7 for the Cavaliers to register 20 or more points, 15 or more rebounds in a Game 7. Only LeBron James.
It's incredible.
Yeah. LeBron did it May 27, 2018 in the conference finals against the Boston Celtics.
The thing you said about the nice guy thing, because that has been a wrap, without a doubt. That's part of the Darius thing, too. Darius was just super nice guy. And look, I'm not going to make it seem like James Harden is some bruiser. He's pretty laid-back guy, too, and seems to be friendly with a lot of guys in the league. But I don't think he went unnoticed that a couple of skirmishes, James got in there. James also, got pushed and then kind of tore in late in the fourth quarter and then completely tackled the Raptors head coach, which I thought was hilarious. A nice parting shot to the Toronto Raptors. Bye-bye. As he did that in a very James Harden flopping kind of way.
How about Jarrett Allen in the closing seconds when the Raptors were trying to mix it up? He's yelling at him, "Go home!"
He did.
Go home.
Yeah, he did. He addressed it after the game too, and told him he was letting him know. But in the end, I do think they showed some toughness. Nobody's going to be impressed that you beat Toronto in 7 games. Like let's make that abundantly clear. I'm not jumping up and down doing I told you so's about the Cavs.
I am impressed, and here's why. Not so much about that it took them 7 games to handle their business. I'm impressed with how they handled adversity, because we have seen this team, when it came to the postseason in adversity, they folded like an accordion, okay? They didn't do that this series. They didn't do that last night when they fell down by 10, not once but twice in that first half. The building started to get a little tense. There were a couple of boo birds there, and they responded. Jarrett Allen gets taken down. Look, there have been many a game where Jarrett has been fouled hard in that fashion, and he doesn't respond to it. He just brushes it off, and that's just going to be that, right? We saw last year the criticism, the scuffle that broke out with the Indiana Pacers, and there's the video, right? It's up at the top of the screen, and down on the bottom of the screen is Jarrett Allen all by himself, and he's just kind of like, y'all do your thing over here. I'm going to be down here. I'm not getting involved. And last night he got involved, and it didn't have to be a fight or anything like that. He got involved by getting physical on the boards. He got very physical defensively, caused a couple of turnovers. He ran the floor. Lima, he took off from the free throw line and smashed. He went
for a guy that's been injured.
Right. He went Michael Jordan. He took off from the free throw line and smashed one home.
Well, I noted yesterday there was a report from The Athletic last year that he wasn't like some of the athletes that take the pain meds, take the shot, I should say.
Yeah.
When they're dealing with it on game day, that's stuff we've heard back in the annals of sports history, shoot him up and go out there and play. And he kind of famously refused to do that, according to the reports. And I was sitting there kind of laughing. I'm like, wondering if he changed his mind on something like that. Because the guy I saw yesterday, you better hit it. You better
just blow right past.
Reckless speculation.
I'm just saying. All of a sudden, Jarrett Allen is flying, doing Statue of Liberty stuff, and looking like Dr. J. Just saying.
Hey, Dr. J.
I know. That's is that his new nickname? Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, that's what they were calling him in the post game last night. Dr. J.A.
Dr. J.A. Maybe it'll stick. Well, he needs a few more of these Game 7 performances.
He keeps doing what he did last night the rest of the way, and it will stick. I just
hope it's Dr. J.A. as in Dr. J and not Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because I am worried.
You're not totally
I'm not totally bought in.
You're not bought in?
This is just what he is now, right? I think we've seen instances of it. And they asked Donovan last night if that's the best performance you'd ever seen of him. And Donovan goes, well, he had 40 against Portland, and that was like in 3 quarters, right? Before all the trades happened. I don't think it's the best. I don't know. It's the best, obviously the best playoff performance that we've seen Jarrett Allen have in his time with the Cavs. But, man, it's going to have to be a pretty consistent. If I can see it in the consistency of a series against the Pistons, I'll be more bought into maybe this is the new Jarrett Allen.
I know we're getting into semantics here. I'm not going to say it's the best we've seen of Jarrett Allen. I'm going to say most complete, because he did it on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, he did.
He scored 40 against Portland. Great. Okay, but that was a complete effort from him. Defensively, he was just an absolute menace to Toronto. He was ripping basketballs. He was ripping rebounds away from the Raptors. The Raptors would rebound the ball, and Jarrett just went in and just ripped the ball away.
There were a few of those, by the way, yesterday. I mean, Donovan Mitchell did it after the whistle had been blown. He's like, you're just not taking the basketball. He ripped one away. I think it was from Scotty. Harden had another one of those, too. They did show some feistiness. I know. Why did it take 7 games? I'm with you. Guys, I'm with you. This series,
some would argue why did it take 3 years?
Well, it should have never gone 7 games. And
I'm one of those people.
Look, there was some desperation. It looked like they played desperate, and sometimes that could go the other way. Larry in Cleveland, go ahead. What's up, Larry? Did you think the Cavs passed the toughness test?
No, they didn't. They should have swept this team. They're just horrible.
Well, they're not horrible. Are you watching the rest of the Eastern Conference? Well, I wanted to hear them out.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody
I didn't want to.
Well, I don't know.
That's pretty asinine comment to make after the way that things went down with that series. That they're just horrible.
Well,
they aren't horrible. They've played bad basketball. That doesn't mean that they're a horrible team.
It is
they
also
won 52 games again this year.
It is also the playoffs. Like people are people not understanding?
That's the problem with your sport, Anthony, is that it's a totally different sport in the playoffs than it is. And I know that's why you love the playoffs, right? Because it becomes something different than it is in the regular season. But man, for people to watch the regular season and expect a certain thing and then come into the playoffs and get something totally different does make it hard to follow along with. It's not saying it's bad. It's just different.
Listen, I think people need to recalibrate what you think you know about basketball in the NBA because you're looking for consistency, right? There's no such thing in the playoffs.
It doesn't.
Like outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like look at the ebbs and flows of all these the Orlando Magic were celebrating like they were moving on, and then they coughed up a 20-point lead against Detroit,
right?
In Game 6 of that series, and now they're home.
And they didn't even show up.
Yeah, look, the Atlanta Hawks thought they had beaten the New York Knicks. They'd taken 2 out of the first 3, and C.J. McCollum looked like a vintage C.J. McCollum from the Portland days, and they're home right now. The Denver Nuggets with the top 3 player in the NBA, they're home. Like, you're not going to get consistent play. You're not going to see teams just make it look easy, except for really Oklahoma City.
Well, and this is why I can't buy into the sweep thing. It should just sweep the series.
They swept Miami last year.
I understand that, but it's just not a thing in the NBA where sweeps are that easy to come by.
I wanted to say one last thing, Lima, that this Cavs conversation is brought to you by Surfside Hard Iced Tea. That's what all the Cavs conversations are.
And we will have many more of these Cavs conversations. 216-474-0092. Did they pass the toughness test? And are you ready to commit to this Cavs team making the deep run that I've been talking about for the last month? That's coming up straight ahead here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan with the real estate market.
Headline Sports News every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
They worked hard in this game. They had 20 offensive rebounds. That's big for them. So it wasn't nothing too crazy. We knew that they were going to go and do that. They got like 4 guys crashing every single play, even guys that's 5'10", 5'11" crashing. So they were just crashing the glass.
All right, that was Scotty Barnes, who I think most people were starting to say was the best player in that series. I don't know. Do you finish after 7 games? Who was the best player in that series? Would you still say Scotty? Which, if you would have told me that, I'd say we probably would have lost the series. Donovan had the 2 clunkers on the road.
You've brought up, James Harden has been good. He's not been the standout, star, but probably Scotty, if you're just going on what they've done for 7 games straight on an individualized performance, probably him. Yeah.
Look, it was a team effort yesterday. The fact that I'm kind of struggling to come up with the hierarchy in the end by the end of the series, who was the best, who stood out the most. It wasn't what we thought going in. I mean, what we thought going in was, all right, Donovan and James, and opening things up for everybody else after they would get theirs. And in the end, it's a total group effort. Now, it looked like potentially it was going to be a group effort in their elimination. So, sometimes
in the first
it's
half,
a fine line.
I'm not going to lie. In that first half, the thought of elimination crossed my mind a few times. And
rightfully so.
I honestly was worried that we were doing locker cleanout day today. I was honestly worried that Dan Gilbert was firing Kenny Atkinson as he was walking off the floor. Like, those were the thoughts that were creeping into my head when they fell down 10 points.
Halftime of Game 5.
Yeah.
Halftime of game. I told you I was thinking about leaving the building and not even watching Game 6. Because that's how these things can teeter.
Yeah.
And just watch the other series. Watch how they vacillate. Back and forth, the Celtics and Philly, how Joel Embiid, who was barely on the team this year, he played in like 39 games, but you didn't know if you could. And he went down like 8 different times in that series. You thought he was out for the series.
And that's the thing about the NBA playoffs, that it can turn on a dime. It's incredible how there just doesn't seem to be such a thing as momentum. Like,
you're right.
As far as
so right.
As far as like it carrying over, right? I mean, we saw it in this series. There were points where you thought the Cavaliers were just absolutely going to annihilate Toronto, and then there were moments where the shoe was on the other foot, and you're like, the Cavs aren't getting up off the mat here. And last night was that in microcosm, because for the majority of that first half, I mean, it just was a continuation of the sloppy basketball that we had seen from the Cavaliers. They had 13 turnovers, Anthony, with like 5 minutes to go in the first half.
And it wasn't James Harden this time.
No.
It was the other guys.
They were horrible in the first quarter, and they ended up down 2 after 1, right?
Right. I mean,
they should have been down 12 after 1.
It felt like it, right?
And then they were
that
horrible
run.
in the second quarter, and it ended tied.
Right. I mean, it just... It defied logic, is the only way I can describe it. And then they came out in the third quarter after having that little run to get to a tie game at halftime. Then they opened up with that 9-0 spurt, and then they just kept piling on. And the next thing you knew, they were up by 22 points. And yeah, Toronto, they got a couple of
game
times.
Felt over.
It
felt over to me.
Toronto got to 15 and 14 and 12. Yeah, they got down to 12. Obviously, 12 was the final spread.
They jacked up a 3, and you're like, oh no.
But you know what it was?
Single-digit game.
Harden got into his bag of tricks, the stuff you hate.
Yes.
When he is on the other team.
Yes.
But he's just like, I'm a veteran. You guys are reaching all over the place. I'm gonna get to the foul line, and he did. And that was it. That was the game. The 3-pointer. When he got fouled on the 3, he just totally baited him, and they were in the bonus.
Harden shot like 11 free throws last night.
And you asked Anthony who was the standout, who was the best player in the series, and I don't think it was a Cav because nobody stood out, but is that something that's probably better about them right now? Because we had in that Miami series last year, it was Darius Garland was the standout player, right? And then even in the Pacers loss, it was probably Donovan Mitchell, right? He's had these 50-point games since he's become a Cavalier, but I don't know, maybe it's better for them as a team that they don't have a standout player right now, that they're all, taking their moments to shine, but not actually taking over a series. They're probably going to need somebody to take over a series, though, if they want to advance.
I do think when you look at the Pistons, I know defensively in the regular season, they were the try-hard Pistons, and Yes, they're physical too. But the anatomy of that team this is a series I think Donovan and James can cook a lot better because they've got Duncan Robinson on the floor. Do you guys remember what the Cavs did to Duncan Robinson last year on the Miami Heat? He was unplayable in the series because they picked at him. The guards, that was Darius and Donovan. They went hard. That was Darius's best series as a Cav. And they were targeting Duncan Robinson, and he plays a lot of minutes for Detroit. So keep that in mind. And Cade Cunningham has to do everything offensively for them. And Tobias Harris, they can drive by Tobias Harris. You know what? So they've got vulnerabilities that you could take advantage of that Toronto didn't, especially with quickly out. Toronto went with a much, much tougher defensive unit.
Right. This Piston team reminds me of the 2007 Cavs, where it was like LeBron and everybody else.
Oh, that's what they are.
Well, Cade Cunningham is their LeBron, and then it's everybody else for the Pistons. They got Ira Newble, Damon Jones, Danielle Marshall, Andy Varejao.
A bunch of role players.
Yeah, they got a bunch of role players
that.
for a supporting cast, right? So look, I kind of chuckled a little bit last night. Kenny Atkinson after the game, already playing the underdog card.
Are you buying it?
No.
Are you buying? I mean, we're the road team. They're the number one seed. I'm not buying it either.
No, 100%, no.
The Cavs are underdogs slightly. It's basically a pick'em series but right now.
I did laugh at that. He's like, well, they're the number one seed. We're going into this as the underdogs.
Do you think Donovan, honestly, do you think Donovan Mitchell and James Harden think they are underdogs in this series?
No.
I doubt that. And the one person that we've talked about all show about being tougher, and he showed it yesterday, Jared Allen, who's the one guy who really called him out on his toughness. It was Bickerstaff, right? That's
good
the guy
call.
that's kind of put it out.
Little vengeance on his mind.
You want to prove that you're not the same guy you were that your coach was out there talking about, and whichever Morris twin we had here was talking about. This is the time to go do it. I am getting more excited as we talk about it and the possibility of seeing something where Jared Allen really blossoms into the guy that they didn't trade this year when he's been the trade bait for 3 seasons.
Been mentioned literally for 3 seasons.
I just, you know what? I have a visual in my mind right now, and that's the Dr. J.A. walking by J.B. staring him down. Who's tough now?
All right, let's go to the phones. Craig in Akron. Go ahead. Next up on the fan. How are you, Craig?
Oh, I'm not bad. How are you doing?
Good.
I want to say you asked about if you think they're tough now or whatnot.
Did they pass the toughness test?
Yeah, I think they've showed they have the capabilities of it. Not officially tough yet, but definitely at least something positive. And I will say about last year, they had so many injuries last year, they were running with like 2 people on the bench. I think last year was kind of a bad year to go by.
All right, Craig, thank you for the call. Look, the way that they had that rebounding edge, I mean, they almost doubled them up in this game, and you heard Scotty Barnes say, by the way, I think they got in Scotty's head. I think a collection of Strus, I think James was baiting him.
Well, and when you're Scotty Barnes and you're looking around and going, where's the rest of the Raptors at right now?
Right.
I mean, Jamal Sheed's all you got. Sorry, Jamal Shedd's all you got to depend on.
He turned into
help.
a pumpkin.
Yeah,
in the second
5
half.
of 16 from the floor.
Adam in Dayton. Go ahead. Next up on the fan.
Yeah, I think we passed the toughness test. I think it's something that you have to take relative to the other teams in the East right now. So, the Pistons were pushed by a 8 seed, essentially. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Sixers, in my head, are the ones who are at the top of passing the toughness test because they did something they were not supposed to do and beat Boston. The Knicks.
It was impressive.
The Knicks beat a Hawks team that half of our fan base was praying that we were going to get to face the Hawks over the Raptors. So, yeah, were we not expecting to go 7? No, but we were. We ended up having to, and then we came out from it. So we move on, you reset. There's no Boston in these playoffs. Focus on Detroit, which we think is a good matchup for us. We'll see.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is a good matchup. We'll get into that more tomorrow, obviously.
Well, the Cavs thought Toronto was going to be a really good matchup for them, too, and, that went 7.
It did. Sometimes the mechanics of these things can change in the series. Like it got really hard. It got really hard out there. I mean, also Toronto was pretty clear that they knew they were out talented, so they were just gonna foul. Right? And bet and make the officials call it.
Well, and also the book on the Cavs is they don't like physicality. And so Toronto tried to dial up the physicality.
But look at how many first quarter fouls that they committed.
Yeah.
That was clearly their goal was, all right, we're going to put the onus on the officials. But they came out hacking yesterday. Like Reggie Miller kept talking about the disparity in the free throws in the first half. I'm like, yeah, these are all fouls. Like, at no point he called a couple of them ticky-tack. I'm like, yeah, when you foul a guy on the forearm when he's shooting, that tends to be a foul. And then on the other end, Reggie, there was one where James Harden, did he get Scotty by the fingertip?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, there was ball, but there were a lot of fingers. I'm like, there was one finger. How many fingers do you think he had?
I've got 10 currently.
Yeah, he had one of the 10.
Well, on the flagrant that they called, it was like 3 fingers.
It was outrageous. They caught overall.
And they reviewed it, and it still came up with a flagrant.
Yeah,
on it.
I thought it was insane.
By the way,
the flagrant luck to go against the Cavs yesterday. All 3 of them went against them.
They got to do something about these reviews. It's getting out of control.
I know.
That was almost a 3-hour basketball game.
It was,
last night.
yeah. And you'll see a lot of these playoff games will go 2:45.
This was 2:44 officially, but it felt like it was like 3:15.
Sport, Lima.
I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas about what has transpired in this game. I do think it's downright impossible to officiate with player movement, but at the same time, there's going to be contact. Like there's no expectation that there's no contact because then drivers would just get to the basket.
You could call a foul on every possession.
Yeah,
on both ends of the floor.
And then, by the way, the block charge thing, it's never as clean as people. That's clearly a block, clearly a charge. It's like, well, I don't know. Defensive player is in a pretty good position. Offensive player is got his right to freedom of movement.
There were a couple of those last
we got
time,
the charge calls. The Max Strus drawing of the charges.
Yeah.
Like, I am no fan of the Duke charge, but if they are calling it, then shout out to Max Strus for taking advantage.
There were a couple called, and I was like, defensive position was not established on that play at all.
Joe in Cleveland. You buying in, Joe?
Hey, Anthony, Daryl. Hey, I want to give Owen a high five for running that one guy saying the Cavs are horrible. But, hey, am I buying in? You know what? You have to be determined. All year long we've been talking about the Cavs getting to the second round and winning, right? I would think we would all agree the first round we figured they win. It was a little tougher than we thought, but they got through that, which was kind of expected. Now we're where we need to be. We're in the second round. We get through the second round. Then I think the buy-in starts once we get to the Eastern Conference Final. So right now I think it's yet to be determined.
Who are you picking in this series?
Pardon me?
Who are you picking in this series?
I got to go with the Cavs. Just have to right now. I like the Bickerstaff matchup with Atkinson. I think that's going to be really interesting. Really interesting. And the narrative during the series is going to be interesting as well.
I don't know that the Cavs had much of a coaching advantage in this series, that they just won.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with Daryl. I have to say it. Kenny left a lot to be desired. And Joe, sorry, I got to move on. Thanks for the call. The challenges thing is obvious. Like, you just can't in playoff games burn a challenge in the first half unless it's to keep your superstar on the floor. It's the only way that I can concede
the lineups, the rotations, just a little bizarre.
But Daryl, I think it was bizarre because the stuff wasn't working. So you have to keep trying to try to figure stuff out. I thought they went back to their base starting 5 at the end of Game 6 and had the nice fourth quarter where you outscored them 23-12. But then again, Dean Wade was not very helpful yesterday. So you have to be willing to move. Your season's on the line.
Yeah.
And Max Strus finally had some good minutes. He had good minutes at the start of the series and then was non-existent until the end of the series. And that's kind of how these things tend to go when it comes to role players.
An underrated positive for the Cavaliers last night, they didn't have anyone having to play more than 37 minutes.
And they're healthy.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's as healthy as I've seen Jared Allen look. All right, 216. You guys are lining them up right now. We'll get more of your reaction coming up next. And did this change the championship odds? It certainly changed the conference championship odds. I'll give you the numbers coming up next here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. It's Anthony.
because roads are for everyone. Visit LoraineCountyHealth.com/saferroads to learn more.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Emotions running high. The crowd's getting into it. And switching to a different role. What did he say? Dr. J.A.
Dr. J.A., man. I love it.
Just had to let them know.
It's great to see that. Really the entire Jared Allen effect, and then him just looking like Dikembe Mutombo at the rim all of a sudden.
All that was missing was the finger wag.
And Jared Allen is not a 7-footer. Like I know we've always talked about, our Twin Towers are two bigs. Like other teams have forwards that are taller than Jared Allen.
If you include his hair, he's 7 feet.
If you include his hair, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's the confusion and all of that.
I've been more of a wingspan guy myself.
Yeah. Well, you got to have that. I mean, like Draymond Green is certainly not a center, right? Like he's. Do you think he's 6'6", Draymond Green?
Yeah, maybe.
He plays. Yeah. He can play around the rim
he's so
like that.
Physical down low.
Yeah. So Jared's not as tall as I think a lot of people think he is. But when he's there erasing those shots, I mean, those are backbreakers, and you're getting every rebound, and then you start to take off the other way. Like, what an awesome moment for him. I mean, that you have to say that's Jared Allen's best moment of his career because it's a playoff game. It's game 7. He's had a lot of games where he's had the double-doubles, whatever.
He's a double-double machine.
Yeah, but to do that in a game 7 and then to have Mike Tirico, that crowd, Reggie Miller gushing over your performance. And look, didn't it seem like in the postgame that monkey got extracted from his back?
It sure felt like it. Just being in that room is him sitting next to Donovan, those two joking back and forth. Laughing about things. It did feel like the weight was off Jared's shoulders. He projected because he's a very soft-spoken guy. He was projecting as he was answering questions and making jokes about telling the Raptors to go home. Had to let them know and. It just a great moment for him. Feel the fro.
Yeah.
Like is Fear the Fro back? That's the question we need to ask.
Look, I don't expect that performance every game.
Actually, you know what? That's the new
a lot
standard.
of people are going to expect that
No,
performance.
well, that's. But to see, this is my overarching point that I'm trying to remind people, and maybe because we had LeBron just play at a dominant level every playoff game, you're like, oh, that's what it's. You're at the level that you're supposed to be. Watch the rest of the playoffs. Nobody is playing consistently, with the exception of like SGA.
You know what?
Even Jokic had terrible games. That guy never has bad games.
I got news for you, Anthony. We got so spoiled by LeBron. He made the Eastern Conference playoffs, a.k.a. the LeBron Invitational, look easy. And so we got so spoiled by that, and I think that's where like the whole sweep thing, we get, they got to sweep the Raptors. Like because we got so spoiled by the ease with which he used to navigate.
And that is not happening now.
But that's not how it normally works.
It's not supposed to be how it happens.
What LeBron James did in his heyday with the Cavaliers, okay, was not normal. Like that's what we have to understand. That's how great he was. That's how much he elevated his teammates. He was that good. He made it look easy. Even the nail biters, okay, that the Cavaliers used to win with him, made it look easy. The playoffs are, I've said this, the playoffs are not easy. They're extremely difficult. To win a game, to advance in a series. I've seen a lot of these over the last 3 decades. I've had a front row seat for it.
We've been spoiled, yeah.
I mean, he made it look so easy, and we're not used to the pushback from opponents, right? We're not used to the Cavaliers falling apart in the second round of the playoffs like we've seen the last couple of years. We're just not used to that because LeBron made it look so easy. So, look, hopefully they can make it look easy against the Pistons here. You mentioned some of the matchups in this series, but I'm here to tell you it's probably not going to be easy. It's going to be a rock fight.
Right now, Eastern Conference Championship winners. The Knicks are the favorite today. They are plus 145. Detroit is plus 240, and the Cavs are plus 310. That's pretty close as far as wagering goes. And Philly, we just had a caller say Philly's the team to beat. And they're fourth on this at plus 600. Nobody knows what to distinguish or how to distinguish these teams. And I've never seen such little separation from 1 through 8 in a conference the way that it is right now in the Eastern Conference. Let's go back to the phones. Jeremy in Fort Worth, Texas. Next up on the Fan. How are you?
Hey, guys, I just want to say hi. I got to tell Daryl real quick. I was on yesterday morning, and I said the valedictorian of summer school comment. I played it for my wife, and she said, that guy – and my wife said, that guy's got a nice laugh. I said, okay, great. Anyway, I think the Cavs did good last night. My concern is, are they able to keep up this intensity? Or are they – because they have the ability to cosplay every now and then a team with attitude. There's just never any consistency to it. And so my question for you is, do they have to show up at the finals, or do they have to show up and win for us to not have to blow this team up?
Jeremy, thanks for the call. Look,
conference finals.
I think if they lose to Detroit, there will be massive moves made.
Yes.
And I think that could be the coach. I think that
I feel like they got a stay of execution.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, this we would already had a statement. We might have had a formal statement already this morning that I'd be reading had they have lost yesterday. I'm being dead serious about people relieved of their duties, and it wouldn't just be the coach.
Yeah, I would be in Independence right now waiting for players to...
The Glocker cleanout day.
Give us the autopsy on what went wrong for these
You're the most expensive
years.
roster in the NBA. You're in the second apron, and you just traded Darius Garland for a dude that is 9-10 years older. There are going to be consequences. And just beating Toronto did not magically make everything go away.
I don't know if just beating Detroit's going to make it all go away either. That caller brought up cosplaying as a tough team, right? Like, there's one team that they've looked tough against in the last 2 months since they acquired James Harden, and that was Detroit, right? If they
had
come
a good
out
game against the Knicks too.
If they come out and they look tough against Detroit, but Detroit hits them in the mouth once and it totally shifts, I think there are going to be problems there, questioning their toughness going forward in that series at least.
Well, I think that their toughness is going to be questioned until they get back to the NBA Finals. Fair or not. I just think
it should be. This is not year one. I know they added Harden, but this is year 4 of this.
Owen, completely agree, completely get it. I mean, you're pounding your head against a brick wall. It felt like
but
for a
all
while.
these teams, okay,
that's why I argued for them to shake up the core 4, because at some point you got to get it through your head. Hey, this group, while they might be good, they're never going to be great. And so I think Kobe Altman finally got the memo, and that's why he did what he did at the trade deadline. But to your point, Anthony, you make a move like that where you give up Darius Garland for Harden, you go up, 8-9 years in age on your roster. The dollars go up too. And the overall economics, $400 million, second apron. Yeah, you better get at least to the conference final. I yell about this with the Browns all the time. Nobody spends more money the last 3 years than the Cleveland Browns do, and they can't win. Where's the return on that investment? Andrew Berry's lucky that ownership doesn't cut his payroll and say, hey, we need to dial back the spending. Same thing with Dan Gilbert. I mean, that's just human nature. That's just business, right? It's all about return on investment. And for me, for this to be a successful return on the investment, you got to at least get to the conference finals. The frustrating thing right now is when you look at the landscape, they should get to the NBA finals. They should. That doesn't mean they're going to, because the teams that should get there don't always get there. Everyone thought it was going to be Boston. Boston's now watching. But this is a team that should now, when you look at this landscape in the East, they should be able to beat Philadelphia, should be able to beat the Knicks, and you certainly should be able to beat the Detroit Pistons.
All right, lines are loaded up right now. More Cavs coming your way, as I've made a case that this team is going to make a deep run in the postseason. They had my back yesterday. Are you a little more confident today after what you just saw? Boy, the opinions are running the gamut. We've got more wine and gold coming your way here straight ahead on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Anthony Lima for QC.
crowd starts to get nervous. I've seen that go the other way, right? Where you crumble or we're not making shots. It really didn't look great. They get up 10, 12 points, So just it's really the mental aspect of this game. And for this team, I thought we took I said it after, forget what game that was, game 5. We took another step mentally, I think, this series.
Yeah, it went 7 games. Nobody wanted that. It was a luck shot that got them to that 7th game. And I saw a lot of Cavs fans afterwards say, that's it. This team is going to cower. It's going to crumble. It's going to turtle up, and then that'll be the series. I saw a lot of Cleveland personalities saying, that's it. It's a wrap. Cavs are going home. Well, today, they're still playing basketball while the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, they're sitting at home. And that series overall, 7 games. Daryl Ryder in for Ken Carman. Look, I wasn't thrilled that it went 7. There were a lot of things I thought Kenny should have done differently. And we did see some shades of past Cavs playoff woes. But you know what? They turned it around. And we are off to the Eastern Conference semis, taking on the Pistons tomorrow night, going on the road and trying to steal home court advantage, just like that.
3 straight years. First time, 3 straight years since, LeBron 2.0. They're listen, baby steps here, okay? Baby steps.
As long as it's not 3 straight years of finishing in the second round.
I was going to say.
Well, all right, it's in play. It's absolutely in play.
Can we get to a Game 6 in the conference semifinals? That's the next step for the Cavs. Can you get to at least a Game 6? You've gotten to Game 5s, and then you had to clean out your locker after Game 5. So can you get to a Game 6 in the conference semis this year?
Well, I think earlier in the show, I think we both picked the Cavs. Owen, did you make a formal pick yet?
For
Cavs Pistons.
I think they'll win games against Detroit, yes.
Will they advance?
Yeah. I'll do this like Ken's non-guarantee. They have to.
So it didn't but it didn't matter how it looked. Basically, I'm asking, did anybody change their mind? Was anybody like, I think they're going to the Eastern Conference Finals, but then I saw him taken to 7 games by that Raptors team.
We talked about this 2 years ago about them setting up their playoff fortunes, and then this year they did it again, and they got help from Philly that the big bad wolf has gone in Boston, right? Even though I know they're not the same Celtics team that they've been in the past. They're still supposed to be the class of the Eastern Conference. I think, I expect them to be and I personally expect them to be in the NBA Finals. That's what I want. That's what I've wanted for, since the beginning of the year. I don't think you get to just pause on a rung because you haven't made it past the second round of the playoffs. I don't think just making it to the Eastern Conference Finals is good enough. And especially now that things have shook out the way that they have, I expect them to be in the NBA Finals.
The Celtics were the one team that I was really legitimately concerned about in the Eastern Conference. So they're gone. Thank you for that. I say Cavs in 6 for this series. Stand by it. Digging in. Put it in stone. Hold me accountable. Call me a coward. Whatever else you want. Cavs in 6.
I love to hear that. Look, 2 of the teams that were top 4 going into the playoffs and championship odds have been vanquished. Okay, Denver Nuggets are gone. Boston Celtics are gone. And there's been nonstop chaos all over the playoffs with the exception of Oklahoma City. And so I do understand.
I think the Thunder are repeating.
Well, a lot of people think you're just playing for second.
Yeah.
But I thought that the Thunder were going to run away with it last year, and they should have lost. They were in Game 7. Tyrese Halliburton goes down. And even then, at halftime, it was still, in the third quarter, it was still neck and neck. They very easily could have lost that. So, they also have a significant injury. Jalen Williams, that's their second best player. And here we go again with his injuries. But with all that said, this Eastern Conference, I've made the point all season that I thought the Cavaliers had as good of a chance this year with a runway thanks to the weaknesses of all the other teams. And we went to break, everybody talking toughness. Did this make the toughness, the characterization that the Cavs weren't tough? Did this make it go away? I asked the question. We opened up the phones. We got like 50-50 reaction on that. But the other teams have their bugaboos too. The Toronto Raptors have not, the Detroit Pistons have not been there, done that at all. And they easily could have lost. They were down 20 in Game 6.
And neither is JB Bickerstaff,
No.
right? That's the rub on JB.
Right.
Great culture builder, great regular season coach, doesn't get it done in the playoffs. Similar to Donovan Mitchell, right? Great regular season player, but when it comes to carrying his team deep into the playoffs, Donovan can't do it, right? Those are the narratives, okay? I'm not saying Donovan can't do it. I'm just saying those are the narratives that are out there,
He
right?
hasn't done it yet, so
I
it
understand.
doesn't matter if he can or not. He hasn't. He has to prove that now.
Jared Allen, not tough. Well, last night, Jared Allen looked pretty tough to me. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah, he did.
Now, I also think that he was motivated by the hard foul that he got in the first half that woke him up, that broke out the mean streak in him.
Do you believe that he'll continue to play this tough?
I think that I kind of feel like you have to poke the bear with him. Still.
He got poked.
No, I know, but I still like.
Well, then if you're Detroit, just don't poke him.
Right.
They got beef stew. They've got Duran did not play well at the beginning of that series.
It's not chicken tortilla soup.
They've got that too. Any version of it.
But Owen, you understand where I'm coming from here. Like
I want to know, Daryl. Like I'm just hearing a bunch of this could happen if that. Do you believe that Jared Allen that we saw last night is going to be the Jared Allen that's going to go forward for the rest of this playoffs?
I do, because I think Detroit's going to try and beat him up. Because I think JB Bickerstaff is going to remember what it was like with him here, and so they're going to say, "Hey, we're going to go."
Probably no one that believes in him less than JB Bickerstaff,
right? And that's why I think that the Pistons are going to be aggressive with him and go after him. And I do believe that Jarrett will respond. The Raptors went after Jarrett last night. Jarrett responded emphatically. He did.
Yeah,
so,
he did.
If the Pistons go after him, I believe he will, and he has to. Like that's what my only beef is the wrong word. My criticism of Jarrett over the years.
They've got beef. Beef stew.
Right. My criticism of Jarrett over the years has been
time it appears.
He's just too nice of a player sometimes. He's just the good guy all the time. And you know what? In the playoffs, you got to be a pit bull. You got to get nasty. You got to be mean. You got to be aggressive. And I understand sometimes that doesn't fit like Jared Allen, the human being. But like last night, it came out. It really did. The way he was swiping at basketballs, ripping rebounds from Raptors players left and right. Like
they out-muscled them.
They were gathering the ball with two hands, and Jarrett just reached in and ripped the ball from him. Like those are things we're not used to seeing from him. His rebounds, they're usually pretty clean. He just goes out jumps someone and grabs it. No, he was ripping basketballs away from people, running down the floor, slamming it in people's faces. Like, yeah, that's what Jared Allen needs to be for the Cavaliers from here now to hopefully they get to the NBA Finals, maybe even win the NBA Finals. That's what they need from Jarrett.
All right, it was a pretty special weekend for one Browns quarterback, but somebody was not exactly loving him. I'll explain that in 10 minutes. Mike in South Euclid, go ahead. How are you, Mike?
Hey, good. How about you guys?
Good.
Well, I hope I'm wrong about this. I can't see the Cavs winning this next series. They are so careless with the ball, especially Harden. Even a team like Detroit, who has trouble scoring, are going to push it to the limits if you're as careless with the ball as they have been.
I thought Harden yesterday was very careful with the basketball. I think he definitely picked his spots and also did a supreme job of letting the game come to him, and the foul baiting to stem the tide of some of those Raptors runs. I like the defense that Harden played yesterday. I'm surprised that you think he's not above that, and I think Harden could have a monster set of games in Detroit as well.
No, and I agree. He played a great Game 7, but the 6 games previous, he was so careless with the ball. And as Daryl said before, there really isn't momentum in these series. So to just automatically assume he's going to build off that Game 7, I don't think is a guarantee.
Well, here's what I love, Mike. I'm telling you, the one difference between Toronto and Detroit, Toronto has like 8 guys. I said they built an army of some of the longest, most athletic dudes in the league. This is going to be very different. The Pistons with Tobias Harris, who can be a cone at times, and Duncan Robinson. And if you refer to last year against the Heat, what the Cavs did to Duncan Robinson, I think Donovan and James can get going in a much bigger way in this series. Thank you for the call, Mike. Let's go back to the phones. Nate in Lorraine. I'll take that as an agreement.
I think that's the first time you've been hung up
just
on.
get an agree to disagree.
Okay, go ahead, Nate.
Yeah. I agree about, that coming out with Jarrett, but he also needs to bring that out on his teammates and hold them accountable. Jarrett Allen doing that run when he was on the tear had the best football.
I'm going to have to hold your phone accountable now.
Sorry about that. So he's basically getting to the fact that, all right, Jarrett Allen brought it, without a doubt, like other guys.
For a game, yeah.
Okay, did you think yesterday, you said the crowd, Daryl, you were in attendance, was a little uneasy at first, but the second half was a pep rally.
Oh, yeah.
You had the Cavalanche activated.
They fired off the Cavalanche machine in the second half. The fans were going nuts.
Didn't you think they dialed it up?
Nobody was upset that they couldn't hit a half-court shot during the timeouts. They brought out I guess, like their version of the Terminal Tower noise meter, inflatable to scream. I mean, they had it all going on in the second half. The second half was a party for the Cavs and the fans.
And don't you think they dialed it up? Something that we really hadn't seen. It's a shame that they waited to Game 7.
Well, listen, if you're going to wait for a time to dial it up, I'll take the second half of a Game 7.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever. The Raptors, opening series, you were big favorites. You can't do that again against Detroit.
On the whole turnover thing, they had 13 turnovers in the first half, just 3 in the second half.
Yeah.
So it is, to Mike's point, like it is possible to clean up the turnover thing. They did it in one game.
Yeah, James, here's the hard thing about James. Depending on what you're asking him to do, if you are asking for him to break down defenses and get into his creative bag and be able to create the shots for guys that really very few in the league can do, he's also going to turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think he was deferential to a degree, but I think he was moving the basketball. I think they were defending him so far from the basket that he was like, all right, well, this is opening up spacing and opportunities for everybody else. And he needs other guys to step up when that happens.
Well, Kenny Atkinson said before the game he could have had 20 assists in Game 6.
Oh, I thought, boy, it was very interesting when Harden's game is under the microscope, because I'm telling you, I know we got to go. They tried to make it the narrative that Harden was blowing the Cavs season in Game 7 yesterday. Well, they had it ready to go.
You know what? I think people want that to be the narrative.
Of course they do.
Not Cavs fans, but like around the country, they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. A friend of mine who lives in Texas texted me last night. He's like, Harden's going to blow this for you at some point.
Well, that's
and I'm
all they talked about when we got him. I mean, we have a producer upstairs from Philly that said, just wait till you see him in Game 7. Just wait till you see him.
So you saw him.
Houston told us
you
that.
Saw him.
LA told us that.
You saw him. What'd you think? I know he pedestrian from the field.
I agree with you that it's something that you don't pay attention to, but the spacing, the way that, and we've brought up that term gravitational pull all the time on the show, but spacing it out to help open up lanes and things like that where it's not so condensed. It's not something that you really see in basketball. That's like a soccer thing, and you see it in lacrosse a lot. But it's like it is something that you have to have to give other players on the team. It's a sacrificial thing.
Right.
I don't know that you can do that every game, though.
Harden also had 3 steals, secured another 6 defensive rebounds when that was a big concern.
Well, just getting his 3 free throws there at the end of the game where they wanted to grab his arm, so he's going to go take those free throws. I think that's what you have the veteran out there on the floor for.
Yeah, I got to say, I don't know if Darius would have been able to do that
I don't know
stuff.
if Darius is even going to be on the floor for you in those games.
Well,
I do know James Harden's going to be out there.
I mean, that's part of it, unfortunately. And I promised I wasn't going to make this a referendum on Darius or anything like that.
Well, you didn't. I will.
But I'm just telling you, this that James Harden Game 7, like I know it was underwhelming for a lot of people, but I thought he played within himself, didn't force the action, and freed up guys, got guys some opportunities. 216-474-0092. I did say it was a great weekend, a special weekend for a Browns quarterback that we talk about a lot, but apparently it's not good enough for everybody. We'll explain when we come back here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. XTENDAV.com, Extend Technology.
Yankees for parts of 36 seasons. Passing away, he was 87 years old. Sterling joined the Yankees broadcast team in 1989, retired in April of 2024. Listen to The Fan Rewind weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All right, we're going to have to hold that Browns quarterback tidbit that I had. I saw something over the weekend. Congratulations, Shedeur Sanders, by the way. Got his diploma. And I wonder, more and more, are you going to see less and less of that from some of the guys that come out? But that's neither here nor there because, I tried to wake him up early in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, from all his duties, it was NBA TV, it was the Kentucky Derby. It's been all sorts of stuff from John Fanta, play-by-play announcer, as he appears on the Weishart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Fanta, were you chanting USA, USA in your home watching the Cavs pull off Game 7?
As trying to stay quiet for the baby. No, I'll tell you what. But before talking anything about how the game was won, I got to hand it to the folks that were at Rocket Arena last night. Now, I was thinking about this. When LeBron came back to Cleveland for the second go-around, I felt like our crowds, they were still very strong, but guys, to a degree, your crowd gets corporatized because of how big LeBron James is, okay? I thought last night that crowd and the shots that NBC put up, those were the diehards that found their way into the building, and that place was rocking. I mean, it had an old school Cavs playoffs vibe to it. The na goodbye at the end. I just thought that I got to tip my hat. Cleveland fans are always good. That crowd last night helped the Cavaliers. They realized when the Cavs got down in the game, they didn't turn on their team. There are other fan bases who proceed to turn on their team, and then things go disastrously. Let's be real. Boston fans didn't will the Celtics back on Saturday night. Cavs fans helped last night. That was a home court advantage to a T, and give them an immense amount of credit. They helped change the game.
They've got the best hype people in the NBA. I would argue they have the best hype people in sports.
Well, and the team gave them something to get hyped about.
The Make Some Noise crew did their job last night. My ears are still ringing from that game. That's how loud that
John,
building was.
Daryl was there front and center, well, in the media section, which is not front or center.
Still a great view.
but you know what? That's a credit to – look, I'm watching that game last night. I don't know what you two were thinking. Here's what I was thinking. I was thinking of the owner. And I was thinking to myself, Dan Gilbert wants only one thing, contend for championships. If they lose that game last night, he's not patient, not sitting around and waiting. The urgency came out. The edge came out. And from game presentation on down, the Cavs do things right, and they survived.
Did they shed the toughness label once and for all, John Fanta?
Not once and for all. They need to shed it in this series here. They need to be the tougher, more physical team than the Detroit Pistons. The Cavs have more methods of offense than Detroit. They really do. They can score in more ways than the Pistons. They've got more options. I think James Harden was bothered at times by Toronto's length. And I want to give Darko Rajakovic a lot of credit. I thought he coached his tail off in the series.
Until Harden took him out at the end of the game. He form tackled him.
Yeah, he did. He had enough of facing him. I mean, look, Toronto's defense caused problems for the Cavs. It did. They affected the Cavs. They affected the Cavs' ability to run their stuff and be fluid offensively. Detroit's very good on the defensive end of the floor, but to me, the Cavaliers, it's very clear. When they get a little bit of that nastiness, when they put some stops together, they get downhill. Because if you're giving all your attention to Mitchell and Harden or one of them, other guys are going to get open shots. And last night, as time wore on, some of those open looks starting to fall, and then things turn into a avalanche.
Is that the best you've ever seen Jared Allen?
Yes. And Daryl, maybe by a wide margin. I mean, it's far and away his best Cavs moment. Game 7, you have been fighting the narrative that you can't shed off the playoff demons, that you can't perform. Forget it. If you want to, the Cavaliers, have they shed off all those demons yet? No. But Jared Allen shed off a big one last night. He came out in that second half, and he was taking names. That's the enforcer the Cavs have been looking for. That's the mentality. And when Evan Mobley goes on the game with 4 fouls, I think we're all thinking, uh-oh, this is trouble. And it's like that guy just said, I've had enough. Like, we've been waiting for that from the Cavs. When Allen got pushed down and he turned around and walked the other way, I'm like, man, fight back. He fought back last night. Give him all his flowers.
John Fanta with us right now on the hotline. We have some audio from Fanta I want to get to from this weekend's Kentucky Derby. Before we get to that, Kenny Atkinson, it was on the ropes, right? I mean, if things were going the way they were going for the first, I'd say 20 of the opening 24 minutes, we're talking about maybe a dismissal first thing today. Instead, Kenny was looking just kind of in the comfort zone there at the end. He kind of cheesing with the smile. He's in the locker room.
He was that way before the game.
Oh, yeah.
I can't lie. So his pregame press conference, nothing was on the line.
You would have never known it was a Game 7.
Had no idea. Other than him talking about that it was Game 7, you would have had no idea that he was sweating bullets.
So, John, when you win, obviously play the outcome, and you're like, all right, I like that mentality. When they lose, it's like, how could they come out with laissez-faire attitude? Overall, they have to know it can't take them 7 games to find an identity and to actually, get into guys and force turnovers and play hard. They know they can't do that against Detroit. They'll be bounced early if that's the case.
No, but I think they match up better with Detroit than they do Toronto. I do. And I know people would come back and say, well, Toronto was shorthanded. But Toronto had multiple guys who could create for themselves and who had that positional length that can give the Cavs, Mitchell and Harden are not going to be getting defensive awards. With Detroit's got some people on their team that you can play off of. They just do. Now, Jalen Duren deciding to show up yesterday, that's a huge key to this upcoming series is which version of Duren's playing, and then therefore which version of Allen and Mobley are playing. And then Tobias Harris. I mean, Cade Cunningham, when the Pistons have struggled, it's because, and forgive me, guys, I'm holding my son calling in here this morning. When Cade Cunningham doesn't have a sidekick, the Pistons, they're lost. I mean, but it shouldn't take 7 games. But I will say this about Kenny. What's it help if you go up there pregame and you're tight as can be and you're looking around? You got to play. At that point, my son wants to talk too. You got to play. You have to go out and play. You can't get all riled up or you can't be different. Terry Francona was always that way. Deep into a playoff series, he would show up and he'd say, "Let's go out there and do what we do." I know it's easy to say when you've won, but here's the thing: Kenny's getting paid a lot of money. He'd be counting his dollar bills if he was relieved of his duties. He'd probably get another NBA coaching job because those things are opening up like cookies at a bakery. He's fine. And I thought, by everybody's questioning early on, if your demeanor's tight, you lose that game last night. You go down early and you don't fight back. Last night was the difference between Kenny Atkinson and JB Bickerstaff. Now we really feel it because you fired JB because you said he was holding your team back. Now you better beat him.
All right, John, along those lines, go ahead and call your shot in the series. Who do you got? How many games?
I think the Cavaliers are going to win this series. I think they're going to win this series in 6 games. I think that this is a better matchup for them. I think for the Cavs, teams that can score in a variety of ways give them problems. because at times for them, they fall into some hero ball, and their supporting cast can be up and down at times from a shot-making perspective. You know, I can't say enough. Like, two of Strus, Dean Wade, Sam Merrill, two of those guys going is so key. You know, Detroit's got a hot Danish Jenkins. He's playing quite well. It's not like I'm sitting here scared of Detroit's offense. I'm just not. You know, you can't let Cade be a facilitator. If Cade's a scorer, go ahead. You know, like, score 32. But if you're letting him score 32 and have 8 or 9 assists, that's a problem. That's a big problem. So how the Cavs defend Tobias Harris and how they keep Cade as a scorer, not a passer, is going to determine the series. But, guys, you know, Cleveland's taken 7 of the last 10 meetings from the Detroit Pistons. And Detroit is a really formidable team, a good team. They had to come back from 3-1 down, but they were still down 3-1 to an 8 seed. The Cavs know what Detroit wants to do. And, sure, the Pistons do know the Cavs well, but I loved your point earlier. James Harden played within himself last night. I even felt Donovan. Donovan didn't hit threes, but late in the game, Donovan played smart. He said, let me do what it takes to win. These two guys are on a mission, and it's to shed the narratives that are out there that they can't perform this time of year. This is staring you in the face. Cade Cunningham's a great player, but you're James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. Play within yourself, set up your teammates, get stops. It's right in front of the Cavs. They win this thing in 6 games.
All right, Fanta, you were at Churchill Downs over the weekend, and I caught some of the clips. Owen said, we teed this one up, said we got a pretty good one involving you. So,
well, John, you got to talk to the mayor of the infield, and now we get to hear it.
Hey, I'm looking for the mayor of the infield. Do you know where to find him?
That's me.
Is it?
Indeed.
Wow, it is you, David Humes, the mayor of the infield. How are you?
A little woozy from partying all night, but, you know, it's Derby Eve last night, so.
What do you think of this first-timer?
You look ridiculous, John. I don't mind telling you. I mean.
You don't approve?
Well.
All right.
It is Derby Day.
It is Derby Day.
So responsible reporting at a dignified event. John Fanta, you were the man to do that job, always the man to do that job. How was that first experience?
Well, David is in to come to the Muni lot this September.
I don't know if he's going to survive the Muni lot, if we're being honest.
He's really excited. Yeah, I mean, he is the mayor of the infield. He later told me he does annulments, baptisms, and marriages. He's been the mayor of the infield for 27 years. And whatever he was on is what I want to be on at the end of my life.
End of your life? Why wait? Come on, Fanta.
That's true.
I mean, you're 24/7 right now. You've got the young child. You need a little bit of a distraction here and there. This guy was out. He was out late the night before. So did he get any sleep?
Clearly, no.
My goodness.
Clearly, no. I mean, his first answer, you know, I say to him, like, and what was that first? Owen, can you play that one more time? The first,
it's when I say,
here we go.
Hey, I'm looking for the mayor of the infield. Do you know where to find him?
That's me.
Is it?
Give it one more.
Wow, it is you, David Humes, the mayor of the infield. How are you?
A little woozy.
I mean, sounds like Pat Shermer talking about his offense.
On that note,
I can't beat that one.
On that note, John, I really enjoyed your coverage over the weekend. Thanks for showing up. And Cavs in 6, John Fanta against Detroit and heading to the Eastern Conference Finals. Written in stone. Thanks, John.
Thank you, boys. Always good to talk with you.
All right. Fanta right now doing his daddy duties, doing the feeding. He sent me a nice picture.
That's called multitasking.
Yeah.
That's what that is right there.
The guy that was in Louisville for, I mean, that you got to go watch that whole video. That's crazy.
Incredible.
The hat that John's wearing is
Did you
phenomenal.
see him chug the drink too?
No.
The special Kentucky Derby
mint julep
beverage. No, it wasn't a mint julep, but whatever. It was a special cocktail.
Mojito.
And John just right down the hatch. Impressive work by John.
Impressive all the way around. All right, let's hear it. I want to hear from fans. Cavs, they're moving on. We spent a lot of time talking about the toughness. Did they finally clear that hurdle? We know there's a long way to go. Are the Cavs fans going to be finally optimistic, or are they going to sound like some of them from the afternoon show? We'll get to that when we come back here on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Friday.
on what they need in next year's draft. What I've been hearing is that he emerged from that voluntary minicamp ahead of Shedeur Sanders, and at this point right now, he has the inside track to win the starting job.
Listen for Mary Kay Cabot from the Plain Dealer in Cleveland.com. Tuesday mornings at 11 on Cleveland's Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Cavs moving on. How sweet it is. I promise we'll be getting to some more football later in the week. And, of course, Daryl Ryder in for Ken Carman today. Reports from Daryl, powered by Scheibe Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Missed a moment in your show? Use the Rewind feature on the Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration.
Real quick, I gave a shout-out to Shedeur Sanders, and apparently, and I swear to God, I got to stop saying that. My kids are jumping on me for saying anything like that. I didn't know there was really a difference between diploma and degree. I have both. I've always used them interchangeably. And I guess people went after Mary Kay for this over the weekend as she congratulated Shedeur. So what is this big, egregious mistake that people pounced on Mary Kay for that now they're going to pounce on me for?
Well, diploma's for high school. Degree is for college, your bachelor's or your master's.
Okay.
Okay.
They're not generally used on like second reference or, hey, got my diploma. What'd you major in? What's your degree? Like I swear I've always used them interchangeably. I did not know. I just looked at the comments.
You and me both. Diploma's the piece of paper. You can get that in college too.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering. That's kind of an informal way to say.
The degree is what it's in.
Hey, did you go get your were you handed your diploma?
Your diploma is framed on the wall in the office where it names your area of expertise that you have been certified in.
I looked it up, and there are a bunch of different sites saying different things. So
yeah, well, it's the internet.
Yeah.
When does the internet ever agree on anything?
So what is the charge here that Mary Kay intentionally tried to?
And that's the problem I have with
go out and act like he didn't get a college degree. Is that what we're insinuating here? I think, guys, it's okay to get off the internet once in a while. You're not doing your boy any favors.
No.
You're not. I'm just telling you right now, you're not doing your boy any favors.
Get off the Twitch streams. Get off the social media.
Not exactly beating the charge that you're a fanatic group. And when you're like, there are going to be opportunities to go after reporters. Maybe not that one.
And also not for that.
So you guys heard me say it. If you want to go back on the Odyssey app, did you feel honestly, in every fiber of your being, that I was being malicious?
No.
When I was congratulating him, and I called it special.
Yeah, it was
what he was able to do, and I said, "Hey, I bet a bunch of, especially quarterbacks, are just not going to get their degrees."
A lot of college football players don't go back and get their degrees or their diplomas or whatever the proper terminology there is.
I thought it was a cool thing for him.
Yeah, congratulations to Shedeur. That's great. It's wonderful. Can we stop going after people over semantics? Seriously. It's ridiculous. And oh, by the way, Shiloh, there's a reason you're not in the National Football League.
Whoa, Daryl. Where did that come from?
I'm going to correct something, but
I didn't know he was going to catch strays in this segment. Last week was a Shiloh week, not this week. What happened?
No, it's still Shiloh week for me.
Whoa, okay. Well, if you have comments to Daryl, make sure to let him know on social media and on the YouTube live channel. We did get a dismiss. There was a Game 7 coach that got fired this morning. We wondered if it was going to be Kenny Atkinson. It was Jamal Mosley. Shams just had the report on ESPN that Jamal Mosley, there are consequences to losing these Game 7s. They were up by 20 in Game 6.
Now I'm going to rush to the team account and see if they sent out a heartfelt thank you for your service.
Ooh. Did we send that out to JB when we dismissed JB? I know Stefanski got one.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I think they did.
It is on.
It really is the most weird thing to me, and we've had this conversation before. Like whether it's coaches getting fired, whether it's players getting cut, or like the awkward goodbyes on social media. Like, hey, we love you. Thank you for everything. Yeah, you loved them so much you fired them or you cut them. Like,
well, sometimes it's the chance to move on.
And I get it if it's like a longtime fan favorite or someone who's been there a long time. That's a different scenario. But like when it's, like 1 or 2 or 3, you're like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, hey, good news is the JB Jared Allen grudge match, of which we unearthed some audio that we're going to be playing tomorrow. I was the one, I remember that put this out there when I heard JB, when he was the analyst all of a sudden for NBA radio.
For stuff to do there in between
Yeah.
Cleveland and Detroit.
Yeah, and JB did a terrific job with that team this year, especially when Kate Cunningham went down. Was a masterful job. I think he would have been my coach of the year.
The Pistons were the worst team in the NBA when he took them over, weren't they?
Yes. So were the Cavs were the worst team when he took them over, right? That's kind of what he is. He's the guy you bring in when you're bad and you need to at least
and they
get
have
things
an
off the
attitude.
ground, right?
You know what? He's the tow truck. He gets you out of the ditch.
But then what?
There you go.
You still got to be able to drive the car.
Yeah, you need someone to drive the car.
Yeah, the tow truck guy, he's ready for warfare at any point. That's one thing we know. You don't mess with those guys. Don't mess with them in college either. College students have lost a lot of battles to tow truck drivers. I can tell you firsthand. Because those guys do not mess around.
Do tell, Lima.
A couple of my buddies might have had black eyes back in the day.
Are these stories you do not want your children to hear?
We'll contemplate that. All right, hey, John Fanta, while he was feeding his kiddo, called in and called his shot. Said Cavs in 6. Daryl said Cavs in 6. Owen,
I don't know.
Yeah, all right. And maybe tomorrow I'll give my official proclamation. I agree with Fanta. This could be a better matchup. Thanks for coming in for the big guy today. It's going to be, this week? He's sailing the high seas. Maybe we'll get a check-in from Kenny. We'll see if he's going to let him know. That's it. Baskin and Phelps coming up next. I cannot wait to hear Nick Wilson today on Afternoon Drive on Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. Go Cavs.
And making sure that you're not booing, but you clap.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh!